Hi, am I audible and visible both? So Ronak is the only person to say yes, is it? Can I have more hellos? Can I have more greetings coming in the chat section? Hi, how are you doing? Can I actually get to know from the audience as well? How are we doing today? And what are we expecting out of today's class? So today we'll have a live coding class as well, guys. Before that, we have an alumnus joining us, an alumnus who's joined our team as well, and he'll be telling us more about his journey at AccioJob and how he prepared for placements and stuff, right? So before I introduce him or before I ask him to come up, can I actually know from the audience how are they doing? How are we doing today? Just a very general question so that I get to know that people are alive or not and not dead. How can I get to know how are we doing today? Audience. Okay, Chandan is the only person to say hi. Hi Avinash. Hi Shrikant. Okay, Priya. What about the others? Where are they? Hi Ronak. Which subject? It's a live coding class. Okay, so I have more highs coming in. Hi, Nazreen. Okay, so Shreya, a lot many people can't take. Okay, and no one has still answered the question, how are we doing? Guys, are we doing fine? Are we not? Or are we alive? Are we not before today's class? Okay, so Shrikant has this as his first class today. Okay, Shrikant, welcome to your first class. What about the others? Who are the new joinees today? Who are the people who are joining in for the first time? Okay, great. So good to see you guys. So guys, today we'll have a live coding class. If you've missed classes, since you've already missed 3 classes so far, so you can go ahead and watch the remaining class recordings or the missed class recordings on the website itself. Right now, today, what happens is that I'll have an alumnus joining me today. Right, I'll ask you a few questions and then we'll have our instructor taking over. So this would just be around for the next 15 to 20 minutes. So let's just go ahead and have him maybe interact with him. That will give you much more clarity about what you can expect from us at AccioJob, right? Okay, Umakant, are you here?
Yeah, Shika.
Hi. So can I, before I begin, guys, can we have a quick hello for him? Can we have a quick greeting from him, chat section?
Hello, everyone.
Okay, so good to see a good greeting here.
Yes, people are
Great.
active.
So guys, also you can go ahead and ask him as many questions as you want. He's here for a very short time, but make sure you ask him questions. Over to you, Makan. So I mean, you were just saying something.
Nothing. I think
so I think I'll just take over and ask you a few questions now.
Yeah, sure. We can do that.
Okay. Yeah, so my first question for you would be, since you're part of the team, it is very informal to, ask him questions, right? So I really do not know how I'll ask him questions. So I'll ask him very informally today. So my first question to you, Umakant, would be, could you tell us about your background? As in, how was life before joining AccioJob?
Yeah, I think that will be good to start with because I'm not sure people are aware of it. So, yeah. So before, I recently joined AccioJob as a technical product manager back in December last year. And before AccioJob, I've been working I've worked as a product development engineer for a company whose name is Phenom, based out of Hyderabad. So I was there for 1.5 years. And before this, I was working as a customer service associate at Amazon. And I think that is when I found AccioJob. I enrolled into the full stack development bootcamp, studied here for 6 months. That was in, I started in December 2020. And I completed this bootcamp in around June 2021. And that is when I got 2 offers. Both of them were the product roles. And I chose the Phenom. And I worked there as a backend developer. And now again, back here where I started.
Okay, so this is nice to hear. Now that you're here, you're back at where you started. I mean, why did you actually apply for the program? As in, kuch to aisa motivation hoga. There might have been a hope that I should apply for this program now.
Yeah, yeah. So basically, there were two things. The first one was my, my conviction and my determination that I needed to change my career, because that was nothing but just because of some financial emergency. I had to join and I had to grab this opportunity. I was working just for financial needs, right? So there was one thing that I decided, that was my determination to change my career and work in IT as a developer. The second one was, of course, the institute. Like, I think that is when I found AccioJob. I did my research and I found that there are these four IIT alumni, and they have their experiences, and they have very profound experience of having visited to multiple colleges, and then they decided to launch this full stack development, right?
Right.
And I saw the mentors. The mentors are from, they're coming from very amazing companies which I dream of, like Google, Goldman Sachs, all those things. And also, I gone through the curriculum and I found that this is what I want, because I wanted to study DSA first. I wanted to excel in DSA because I had close to zero knowledge in DSA. But when I saw that they have been putting a lot of focus on DSA, I decided to enroll to this particular course. And I think I that decision went right. I mean, that was the most. I think if I tell you the most, the right decision, right? So the right decision which I made was joining the AK job, because after that, like post 6 months, I qualified. I was interviewed. I interviewed for multiple companies, maybe like six companies. Out of those, I qualified for two.
Hmm. So that was your experience, and that is how you started.
Right.
Okay. So, my third question for you would be, how was your experience with AccioJob? As in, what did you like, or maybe what did you not like?
See,
I think we've had a conversation, guys. We work in the same company now that he's here. So we work in the same company. We've already had these conversations. Now that I'm asking him again, maybe you can ask him more questions. That would be more honest to hear. I've already heard these things before. I think I've already heard these things much more in detail when I've talked to him in person. So
yeah.
I'll just ask him these questions again. So what did you maybe like or dislike the most?
Absolutely. So when I started as a student, I was skeptical because, see, like I said, I just trusted that these are IT alumni guys and who are building something from scratch and working day and night, and had really good mentors. The curriculum was very structured, and they were teaching everything DSA, backend and front end. That too, they were offering pay after placement. So all these things when combined, I think that proved a very good resource for me, right? And that proved right when I got two offers. And also when I had my journey read, I found that these people are really interested in transforming careers for student. Even I see as an employee that very much, right? Because we have made a setup in such a way that we are focusing on each and every student. So each and every student feels like they are kind of studying with their friends. They don't have any seniors or something like that. Even a lot of students admit this. I've talked to even a lot of students for past. I've been talking to them for past few months, and that's what they say, and that's what I have felt as a student. That AccioJob kind of create an environment wherein it feels like everybody is working for me, right? And that's what I felt exactly as a student. And I think that's the reason a person who's coming from a background who studied nothing, who has no idea about programming, who's working as a customer service. So a lot of companies, they do kind of raise questions that why should we hire you working in a customer service, and why should we hire you as a developer? And that is when AccioJob made this path very smooth for me, right? Getting me right opportunities, getting me sessions in where like getting my skills brushed up where I'm very weak. So extensive support, I would say. The experience, if I tell you about in a very short term, it was phenomenal. Why? Because of the extensive support and the student first attitude, which I can really see that they have imbibed in each and every employee who's working here.
This is so nice. I mean, this is so nice to hear coming from you now that you are here and now that you were a student. Is it so अच्छा लगता है now that I hear about your journey?
And
Okay.
I wanted to tell students that it was my conscious decision to leave the job as a product developer and then join AccioJob. I already had multiple offers from Bangalore companies as well. I could have been working as a developer already in Bangalore as of now, but I joined AccioJob. The reason being because as a student I have seen the struggles, right, that you face. And in this 1.5 years of short journey working as a developer, I think I've talked to more than 500 students. They have been reaching out to me on LinkedIn, right? And some of them, I might have missed responding to some of them. But now when you offered me to work in a position where my job will the primary job will be to connect with students, to design a curriculum so that it helps them get their dream jobs. And a lot of my job involves connecting with students who have studied the module. So even for past 1 month, I've been connecting every day to students. That's the reason I took this conscious decision to leave that particular domain where I was working as a developer, as a coder, and now I'm here.
Okay, so Umakant Soham is asking, how were the doubt clearing classes? Were there doubt clearing classes at your time?
Yeah, they were. And I'll tell you, there was this guy named Mridul Bhatnagar who's currently working as a SD3 at Google London. So he used to take my doubt classes. And I'll tell you,
Okay.
because of this guy, because let's say I was maybe 2 out of 10 if I rate myself in DSA when I joined or just studied for 1 month, right? I'll rate myself 2 out of 10. I stretch like it stretched to somewhere around 6, 7 out of 10. The reason was this doubt classes. Because hardly few students used to join, and we were very less, I think, in number, maybe 50 to 60 in a batch.
Right.
That was the total strength that when I joined, right? So there were few people we used to discuss among each other. We used to ask like how you did that, yeah? Ye kaise kar liya tumne? How did you follow that approach? And even the mentor, he was also among our age. So we were very friendly, and because of the doubt session, I think I used to clear a lot of my doubts and helped me to actually strengthen the concepts of DSA. So of course they were very helpful. I used to look up for the doubt classes because in the real classes, maybe I might have missed something because of and I kind of used to hesitate to ask questions, but doubt sessions were good. One-to-one doubt clearing classes.
Oh, were there one-to-one doubt clearing classes? I think you're talking about the other classes. Right?
So doubt session is something, let's say if we 4 or 5 people out of batch of 50, we are still not clear about the concepts that were taught yesterday, right? So we used to join together and ask our doubts. If you're talking about the one-on-one session, yeah, they used to happen. The co-founder, like I said, there was not big team, but they used to follow up every week and used to take the one-on-one session to understand if we have any issues. What about doing projects in AQ? Did you do it alone? No, Akula. So I'll tell you, I right now who is CTO of the company. He was assigned as a mentor, right? And we were like 3 to 4 candidate in one group. So the role of mentor was very helpful because I remember I called him up maybe at 11:30 p.m. right, and he picked up the call and he helped me till I think 1 o'clock we were on the call. And he helped me actually solve that problem which I was stuck in the project. So these kind of help were given, and that is the reason I was able to build projects. And now, right now, everything is structured. I mean, I can say maybe at my time, maybe the staff was less, the members was less. But right now, each and everything has been defined and structured in a way that even we have model for projects. So there'll be one module, you'll be like someone will be there, will be helping you across the project. Then again, you'll have to there is concept of bring your own project, something like that. So you'll have to do your own project, right? These things are.
Umakant, which batch are you from? Can you tell the students about the batch you're from?
Right. So I'm from batch number 2 when the things were just started off. So I think right now everything the product is matured. We have very mature platform which has questions more than Code Chef right now, right? And even I've been working for past few months and adding a lot of content in front end as well.
Got it. So I think another question from my end would be, what is your advice for the current students who are coming in? As in, what should be their placement strategy?
See, at my time, I'll try to relate with my batch as well. So the entrance was quite difficult. It was actually similar to some CAT level exam, I would say. Not very, but yeah, in a sense. And that's the reason we all were very enthusiastic. We were very kind of focused on a learning, like we had a learning mindset, and that's what I always focus on. Right now, the entrance test is not that much difficult. It is, but it's not that much difficult. So I think we have a lot of students coming in, and what this only advice I can give to all of you is, when you're coming and when you're joining AccioJob, right? Once you've enrolled, like do your research, think about it multiple times before joining it. Once you join it, just surrender yourself. I mean, have a learning mindset. Do not focus on getting a job. Just think that it will be a byproduct. So if you only focus on job, maybe you end up getting one job, that will be a very less package because you haven't given a lot of effort in learning, right? So when I was there, I was only focusing on like everyday task that I should be able to complete this DSA question by end of the day. And what happened? I got two offers, right? And that to the product role. So that's what will happen if you focus on everyday process. If you have a learning mindset, if you are here to learn something out of it, so that job thing will happen automatically, right? You are here to make sure that you build discipline. If you, let's say, in a college and you don't have the habit of studying and putting that self, like being in that self study environment, right? Make sure you develop that habit, because as a developer in IT, the work is not very easy. You'll have to work in a tight deadlines. There'll be a lot of times you have to complete the project in a tight deadlines. You'll sit for maybe 10 to 10, 12 hours. So this is the great time you can build that discipline. You can learn something, you can learn all those skills, and eventually you'll get a job, right? That's a byproduct. So that's an advice I'll give you: to have a learning mindset, come to the classes, put some genuine efforts, and keep reminding yourself that the effort of 6 months is going to change your career for 30 years. So 6 months is equals to 30 years. So don't you think the effort that you're putting for 6 months is worth? Even if you forget everything, your friends, your family functions, your family, everything, right? Just 6 months.
I think this was really, really helpful. The statement you said at the end, 6 months is what 30 years of an effort. So I think this was the most helpful statement from what I could gather.
If I say, Shikha, give me just 10,000, I'll return you maybe 5 lakh rupees in 30 days. You'll give me 10,000, right?
I'll give you 10. नहीं यार, थोड़ा fishy लगेगा, scam लगेगा.
So maybe you feel like a scam, but right now it's a process. It's a genuine process where your effort of 6 months will convert into something meaningful career of 30 years. Right. So Nazreen asking, sir, how to start career development, what are the important subjects, and how to get jobs in area working professional. So like I said, if you can relate to my story, because I was also working professional, but in a customer service, and I wanted to start my career as a software developer. I joined a boot camp, and the rest was like history, right? So they have taken care of it, everything. I just have to give my time, my genuine efforts. I followed them for next 6 months, and then I got 2 offers, and then I started my journey as software developer. So one there is a saying: if you want to reach somewhere, right, consult a person who is already there. Person or institute like AccioJob, or maybe there are others, but consult someone who's already there, who know the entire process, right? So once you enroll yourself, once you consult someone, then the path become very easy for you.
Okay, here I think there is one more question. There is someone asking on YouTube that हम coding करना चाहते हैं, but then when there is an error, people are demotivated and then they just leave coding. This is what happens for beginners.
I think I can answer this because I have already worked as a developer, as a backend developer for 1.5 years. So what do you think coding क्या है? I mean, coding is not only कि you've given to build an API or do something and everything is working flawlessly, right? Smoothly. वो अगर ऐसा हो रहा है तो you are not a coder, right? You're not a developer. Unless you get an error, unless you do something that produce a bug. क्योंकि जब तक वो नहीं होगा, you will not learn to debug it. You will not learn to how actually you fix the problem when ऐसी issues होते हैं, right? When issues come, when these things happen in real time. Let's say तुम इतने बड़े project पे काम कर रहे हो and you've deployed the thing in production, and 1 lakh people, 1 lakh user of some company, they're using it in real time. And because you never faced an error and you are just a very smart developer, and now you face the error. You can imagine the impact of it, right? So it's better you face the error earlier, you learn how to deal with the errors, And I think a great developer is the one who actually knows how to fix the error, who has dealt with error and bugs. So, and when I say this, right, because there is a whole process to solve an error. You had to do some Googling, you had to go to different platforms and see whether if anyone else had, faced that error in past. Maybe you have to read some blogs, maybe to experiment. This maybe you feel like it's stuck, you're not getting something, but trust me, this period and this whole process will enhance your skills and your persona as a developer.
Got it. So I think this is really, really helpful as an advice from coming from you who completely came from a non-tech background. You had no idea about coding in general. So this comes as a really helpful advice. And also, I think Prashant has a very valid question. Right now, the market is down for freshers. What about that? There is a lot of news, layoffs हो रहे हैं. What about that?
I think now the market is going up. We will see some good results in terms of hiring as well. Market was down, and of course, because post COVID and a lot of things happened, the startups had taken a lot of funding, and then COVID happened. The businesses that they thought कि maybe ये चलेगा हमारा online, but then again we shifted to offline culture, है ना? So of course that was bound to happen. The shareholders had to ask, withdraw their money, and the thing happened. Layoffs are happening. But what I'm telling you that why you are focusing on the market and why you're focusing on layoffs. Even if layoffs happen, right? A lot of my friends are laid off, but they trust their skills. They know that they can get job in just 1 or 2 days, right? It's just a matter of 1 or 2 days. Maybe for you it will be a matter of 1 week or a month, right? But it will never matter, right? The layoffs and the market will never matter if you have right set of skills. The companies, the right set of companies are still there. They will always be there. And like you asked a question about the market. For that matter, the market is going up, slowly gradually. We are shifting to going to a phase where the hiring will again start at the same pace it used to happen before COVID. But like I said, you should not be focusing on that thing. Even if the layoff happened with you, you laid off, you still you should trust your skills and the experience you gain while working as a developer, right? So that's what matters. Coaching fees.
Got it. And I think Manikant is asking about the coaching fee. So these are a few questions I can take up, Manikant. So these are some things that I would ask him. And okay, Pawan is asking some tips regarding practice if any errors occur. So could you tell us more about that?
Yeah, just I think missed it. Some tips regarding practice. Yeah, so the moment in any error occur, right, you'll kind of get frustrated and you'll try to immediately find a solution, right? That's the problem with the people, right? If you right set of mind, right set of mind as a developer, when I say mind as a developer, right? So you don't find solutions immediately. You try to do some research because so the people complain that their leader, their manager, they are not giving enough time to learn and then implement. So this is the actual buffer time which you can take to learn. Let's say you get a null pointer exception. So it's very famous error NP when you will work as a developer. So once you see the null pointer exception, right, you go to the website and see what exactly is null pointer exception, why it come and why it is important, necessary to completely avoid null pointer exception in your code, right? Why it's a disaster for a developer. So you will do some research, then you will try to debug. You will then research किया debug कैसे करते हैं. Java में किया है तो how you debug in Java, learn it. Then you will go code by code, and let's say that is the time you will understand. Let's say the particular API कि वो actually करती क्या है. What exactly that API do, right? So you'll understand the flow. यही buffer time होता है to learn, to understand the code, to understand the actual function, try to relate it to the front end. कि वो actual API जो काम है उसका front end से क्या relation है, right? How actually this is being used in the front end. So इस तरह से when you understand the complete picture of an API, right, that becomes very easy to find an error. कि now you understand कि यार ये API is supposed to do this. Once you click on save, so all these profile data, your name, last name, your date of birth should be saved, right? वो save होना चाहिए. But you saw कि यार इधर data की date of birth आ ही नहीं रहा front end से, and that is when you recognize कि यार यही तो error है कि front end से हमें date of birth नहीं मिल रहा और यहाँ पर हम उसको fetch कर रहे हैं. मतलब कोई value नहीं है किसी field में. You want something out of it. Let's say there is a variable called name and you haven't got any data from front end and you are saying name dot get, you are getting something out of it, get last name. So of course you will get an error, right? So this is just a brief example. That is how you debug and find solution. So you need to understand the complete functionality of an API first. कि पूरा picture समझो front end से back end से कैसे relate हो रहा है. You are a back end developer doesn't mean कि तुम्हें front end का कुछ नहीं करना. You should be aware of front end as well. पता होना चाहिए front end में exactly वो API use क्यों हो रही है. Yes, I think that is how I used to solve the errors and bugs. Educational background. So, Avinash, are you asking my educational background?
Yes, I guess Avinash is asking your educational background itself.
Yeah, so many 12th, so I think I've like done my 12th from CBSE board, and post that I did my graduation from JSS, which is in Noida. So I studied their instrumentation and control branch. So this was sort of robotics. So I used to make robots and I used to study about them. तो वैसा ब्रांच था तो कोडिंग से तो नाता नहीं था never studied coding.
Okay, so I believe we have all our questions answered today.
I'll answer the last question. The Gola is saying it's important because yes, that is correct. As fresher, you will get frustrated because as fresher, we are always even you will join AccioJob or you studying in an AccioJob, right? You'll always focus on getting outcome immediately. You'll always focus on getting something out of it. So just be patient. Spend some time. Spend some even if you're confused, right? Spend some time with that confusion because you will understand how exactly these things work, how these errors are coming. You will try to avoid in future when you will write the code, right? So try to be calm whenever you get errors, or even when you're studying as a student, right? Do not focus on the end goal because we are focusing every time, every day on the end goal, which is job, or let's say as a developer, you got an error and you just immediately want to fix it, right? Rather, try to explore why it happened, how you can avoid it in future, or maybe how you can, let's say that was some manual thing to do. Maybe how can you automate it? If there is some dependency with the other team, how can you reduce the dependency? So these questions should arise as a developer. As a student, rather focusing on getting a job or end result, try to be a problem solver. If you get a problem, if you get an error in any coding, try to write it down somewhere. Get a pen, paper, and try to spend some time, right? Do some struggle with yourself.
Okay, got it. So, Umakant, I believe we are not ready to leave you yet. So we have two more questions. I'm very sorry for that. So Ashwin says he has completed a graduation degree in BA Honors Arts, I believe. But then how does he start? How can he start is something he's asking.
See, now that will be a radical shift in your career. You're doing art and then you want to come and study these things, right? I'm not saying it will be easy. It will be difficult, but then you have to justify first to yourself and then to the world, to the companies. First, you will be convinced about yourself that you are properly motivated and you have a reason to shift your career and work in IT. And ask yourself, are you interested in developing these websites? Are you interested in knowing how these things, how this internet, how these websites work? Are you interested in analyzing these things and building some great products, right? Something out of it. If you are interested and if you kind of get thrilled by just thinking these things, right? Then you are at the right place. You'll have your struggle. You may face some rejections, and everybody faces it, right? That's not a very surprising thing to hear. So you will have to kind of embrace it and join a boot camp, study for it, get some understanding, learn through your peers, your mentors. And I think yes, I can give you an example. There was this person who was working as a waiter in a hotel. Can you imagine? He transitioned his career from that particular place to working in Samsung as a developer. So think about it, right? There are people who are coming from such backgrounds, so you still graduate and have some degree, right? But then that depends. Like I said, you have to be more convinced first with yourself, and then of course you have to convince others as well. Let's get some other questions. I'm hearing RP and AI are more in market now, means more market demand.
And then Yashwant is asking a similar question. I'm curious to know if robotics has lesser career opportunities than software development.
Yeah, Yashwant, it does. India, we don't have these core opportunities like mechanical, civil, and robotics. If you want to pursue that, you might have to move abroad and maybe see those opportunities. Or maybe in India we do have, but there are very less opportunities. The funnel is very narrow, quite narrow, right? You have to be more enthusiastic. You have to be brilliant if you want to get into ITs or maybe do some research with that. I wasn't that much interested in robotics, so I chose this path. You have to listen to yourself, right? What you can do better. I'm hearing AI. AI are in demand, and maybe in future it will be more. But full stack, developing something, developing a website, or working in a company, working to build a product, this will always be there, right? I'm scared of
Got it.
DSA. So,
And I think Govind is asking then that I'm scared of DSA somehow, HTML, CSS,
I
JavaScript,
think
and native.
Govind, you are at a sweet spot, right? You already saying that HTML, CSS, JavaScript easy, so leave those things. Just focus on DSA, right? You know that you are you kind of getting scary because of DSA. You are afraid of DSA, right? So you only have one fear. So let's say if I know that I kind of afraid of this thing, I'll rather try to explore it, right? So that I can get rid of that fear, right? So you just have one fear, DSA, just tackle it, face it, practice it daily, start from basic, first develop your confidence. First, develop your confidence by practicing easy to easy question. Once you are able to solve easy question without actually watching any video or referring to editorials, just change gradually. Like if you are aware of the gym, right? In what we do in gym, we start with very low weight, very basic weight. Once you develop our technique or form, once you are aware of the particular form, right? Then we shift it to higher weights. We start using lifting higher weights and more heavier weights, right? And then the time comes that we realize, oh, we are able to do this thing as well, right? So this happened with me as well. I started with very basic scratch. The questions which, let's say, just says that find the maximum number out of this array. These kind of question I was not able to solve. So I started with these questions, and then gradually I changed my difficulty level to easy to intermediate, solved a lot of intermediate questions, and then from it able to hard questions.
Okay, got it. And do we have a coding class today or not? Sindhu, we'll have a coding class in the next couple of minutes itself. Umakant, would you be able to take up more questions, Abhi?
I think, let me just check.
So he has another meeting, guys. He's just interacting with another set of students, and he has to work on certain things. So I'm just asking him, let's just know if he has time right now or not.
In market present, Java or Python? Depends, Vijaya. If let's say you're more inclined to data science, AI, machine learning, all sort of things, right? Then Python will be the go-to language. Or if you're, let's say, more into full stack development, developing websites, developing something like this. So Java is something which has never become obsolete. It's still hot. It was, and it will be. Is there any effect of gap years to it? Pritesh, if you're able to justify your gap, because you will face some issues while answering HR questions, right? They will ask you to justify because they need to understand whether you will be a permanent employee, whether you will work with them for constantly. So they have this doubt, and you want to clarify. Let's say in my case, they ask me why you have 1 year of gap, and then again 6 months. So I explained them that initially I was inclined to work in government setup, like more as I wanted to work in RBI and all those things, right? So I studied. I gave my I tried there. I gave my shot, but I couldn't do it. Then I changed my career, and now I have this right set of skills, and I want to work in this industry. So you just need to justify your gap.
Okay, got it. And I think, guys, let's just pick up one last question because we have a class to take up as well. And he has to go somewhere else as well. That is what I'm telling you guys. So I'm really sorry for this. So I believe Yashwant has a question.
This Yashwant Manikant is saying chat GPT will see Manikant, there are a lot of examples where it proves that the one who has more intellectual right is humans, right? So chat GPT will do nothing, but it will kind of help us to increase our productivity. It will make us more efficient. Like, of course, we'll be there because we are the one who are developing these kind of things, right? So we need developers because we need to there are a lot of situations in which we have to think in a lot of other perspectives, right? Even I have been to a situation I might not be able to explain completely, but yes, ChatGPT, these are the tools, right? They'll help you to enhance your productivity, it'll make you an efficient developer. Could you please share your thoughts on whether share thoughts on whether the career across data analysts are on par with? Yeah, of course, Yashwant. I feel that right now data is something which is a gold, right? For any industry to thrive in their field. So of course, data analysts are being they'll be coming to picture, and that's the reason I think we have also launched the data science course, because we felt that data science is something which is at peak right now and it will increase. So of course, data is also data analyst, data science. These are also the very demanding field right now, the demanding roles as well.
Got it, Umakant. So I believe these are all the questions that I wanted to ask you. Guys, if there are any more questions, you can ask him on LinkedIn. Umakant, would you be able to share your LinkedIn?
Of course, yes. Just a sec. I'll share it.
You can connect with him on LinkedIn, and I believe that would be a better place to answer all your questions then.
Sure. I'll share in chat, right?
Right, got it.
This is my LinkedIn.
So guys, he's already shared the LinkedIn, and I'll share it again. And in case there are any other questions, you can ask him on LinkedIn itself. Great. Thank you so much. So thank you so much, Umakant, for joining us. So he's given us a lot of valuable information. So I believe थोड़ी ज़्यादा हो जाएगी digest करने को. So you do not have to worry, guys. Just take a call, enjoy the next few days of coding, and I believe he's given some very genuine advice. So you can follow that in case you wish to go ahead with coding. So okay, can we have more thank yous coming in?
Most welcome, and I wish everyone all the best. And yeah, if I can do it, everyone can. So just believe yourself. I mean, just like I said, try to put some genuine efforts for next couple of months, and everything will change. You all guys have your own journey, and that's the most interesting part of it. You should make your own journey, right? Chalo, thank you so much for becoming for shooting all these questions.
Thank you so much, Umakant. It was so nice to have you, and it was a very motivational session, I should say.
It's my pleasure. Yeah, anytime. Thank you, everyone, and all the best. Yeah. Thank you, Shika, for inviting.
Thank you so much. Okay. Also, guys, for people asking about the fee structure, I just share with you the website link. You will be able to find all the details on the website itself, right? So the fee structure would be there on the website itself. In case you missed the orientation, you will be able to find the fee structure in our orientation as well, right? Our CEO explains the fee structure there itself. So you can go ahead, find all fee details from the orientation or from the website. Now, Ritik is here. Ritik, would you be able to take over right now? Okay, so I'll just probably ask him to take over. So he'll be taking over. And also, guys, are we solving assignments? Just a very quick question. Are we solving assignments? Because we would have to solve at least 12 assignments to be eligible for the coding test. So are we solving assignments? Manjusha, is she the only one solving assignments? What about the others? Guys, are we solving assignments? Ma'am, is yesterday's APL price disbursed? No, Amardeep, you'll just receive it before the APL that happens today. Okay, did 4. Got it. So I'll ask Ritik to take over 1 second. Okay, 8. So we have what's the last day for assignments? So the last day for the assignments will be before the coding test. 1 second. Also, guys, if we are stuck anywhere, I think Senthil says I'm stuck with if statements, and Ashwin says I'm new here. So Ashwin, you have to start solving assignments. They are there on the website itself. In fact, Ritik would be here helping you solve the assignments from today. And also, what's the last day of the coding test? It is 14th. So make sure you solve the coding test, solve the assignments before 14th, and then you give the coding test by 14th. And stuck with if statements, then you can go ahead and ask the doubts on Discord itself. Or why don't you ask your doubts here? It's a live class. I mean, if you have any issues asking the doubts here, you can go ahead and ask the doubts in on Discord itself, right? We have live doubt sessions on Discord, so you can go ahead and ask there. Okay, so over to you, Ritik. Thank you so much for waiting.
Okay, thank you so much, Ishika. Hello, everyone. Good evening. Great to see all of you back. Right? How are you doing? I guess you all got some insight by learning from Umakant, right? So he shared his journey, right? So now you can relate, right? So there are a lot of students who have gone through this, who have patiently worked with us, who have patiently tried to learn concepts, who have patiently tried to work on improving their skills, and then finally they are getting the job, right? They'll try to do the same thing, right? You all will have your own journey as right, as you already know. But yes, the learnings, the skills that we require is going to be same, right? So yeah. So main classes would be starting for you all by next month, right? So this month we'll try to do some basics. These things will be again touched, but yes, we'll expect these things to be remembered by you. That will again touch these things, but yes, we'll try to go through this. We'll have some exams, right? That's there, some interviews that might be there for you all, right? So all those things will be there by this month end, and for finally like your enrollment, then you would have some orientations. You'll get the access to the portal, all the things would be set up. That will get a batch manager who will be managing you, right, whom you can report to, right? Those things, once everything is done, then we'll start the like final classes with you the next month. Yes, till then I'm here, right? So we are here, we can learn, right? We can understand, we can go through it. So I guess I got one of the mock portals today. Well, today we'll try to solve a few questions as well, right? So just like study, we try to do some coding, right? So today what we'll do is we'll try to dive deep more, a little bit more, and we'll try to solve a few more questions. Chalo, before we go to problem solving, or before we go to question solving, let's do something, right? So let's do a few things. So see, so we'll quickly try to revise, right? We'll quickly try to revise the things that we touched yesterday. And we'll also see, Acha, honestly, tell me how many of you did open this GTB portal and try to write some code after tomorrow's session? Anyone? Okay, Riddhi, that's good. What about others? Did you all try? Did you all do it? I gave a question to you, all of you, to create a calculator kind of thing for numbers and then for decimal numbers. Did you all try that? Did it work? Okay, chalo, great. So, okay, so since all of you have tried, right, let me quickly recap of what we did yesterday. I'll go a little bit fast, right? So let me know in case you have doubts anywhere. So I'll try to recap that in case you face issues in any of these things. We'll do. Otherwise, we'll proceed to our new topics. Okay. So see, what we learned about yesterday was we first time opened this portal and we understood that, okay, how code works. So basically we write something in some English plus certain rules, right? We write something in languages like Java, C++, which is nothing but English plus certain rules that we are following in that language. Now, once we have written this code, what happens is it gets converted to binary, that is 0, 1, which machine understands, and it runs the code. Right? Simple. So now here, what we have is we have things like the first thing that we learned about was comments. Right? So what are comments? So comments are nothing but these are like lines of code that do not run. These codes do not run, right? These are added just for information. You can think it like these are added just for information for the other developers, right? Information to the other people. These lines of code do not run actually, right? So we have things like single line comments. We have multiple line comments, right? Which are used to add comments or informations in between the code. Okay. Then what did we learn? Then we learned about something like, okay, what is this semicolon? So every line of code will end with a semicolon. This says that there is this line of code has ended over here, right? So use semicolon to write to say that this line of code ends over here, right? And you can make it like full stop, right? So in English we have full stop. We say that the line is ending over here. Same way, in programming we have semicolon. We say that the line is ending over here. Okay. Now we understood. Okay, this is semicolon. What else? So we have then we understood about error. So this is a situation which will happen if you have written something which is not correct, right? Which is not correct. You missed a semicolon, you missed a bracket, you spelled something incorrectly, right? So if you do something like that, you'll see an error in which your code will fail and your code will not run at all, right? It will not happen if you have error in this line, the next lines will run. It will not happen. If you have error in any one of the lines, the code will not run at all. Okay. The next thing we learned about was Java is a case sensitive language, right? So it understands small and capital alphabets differently. So you can simply say that small a and a capital A are two different alphabets for Java. Okay. And it is true for a lot of languages, right? So for example, C++ is a case sensitive language, Python is a case sensitive language. So there are a lot of languages which are case sensitive. There are a lot of languages which are not case sensitive. For example, SQL is not case sensitive. So there small and capital A means the same thing, right? So Java is a case sensitive language. Okay. Okay. Next, we understood the thing that we understood was how to print something, right? So we understood a statement known as system.out.println. And what does this statement do? Anything that you write after the bracket inside double quotes, that's get printed into something known as console as it is. Now, what was this console? This was this black screen where we can use, like we call this as console, we call it as terminal, we call it as the input output screen, right? You can call it simply as the black screen, right? Where you see the result, where we'll use it for like taking user input as well. But for now, the thing is it is used for displaying the results. Okay. Okay, understood. Next is okay. Next, we understood that we have something known as println and we also have something known as print. What's the difference between both of them? The difference between both of them is println prints something and changes the line. It prints something, hello, and it changes the line. It moves to the next line. Print something and stays in the same line. So if you print something like print and print, what you would see is println is printing this, moving to the next line, right over here. And when you're using print, it is printing hello, but it is staying in the same line. So if you print anything else after it, you'd see that thing in the same line. So hello, hello is coming in the same line, whereas in println, after printing it, the line is changing. So this was the small difference between using print and println. Now you can use this to create like paragraphs, create words in a single line. You can put, if you want to have space after this hello, you can put one space at the end of this. So that will also ensure there is a space after the end of hello. Okay. Okay. Did you all try out print and println? Anyone having any doubts, any issues over here? Understood? Did you all understand how print and println works? Yes, no doubts. Okay. Now what I told you is that you can type out anything that you want to print, right? That can be typed out from your keyboard with inside this double quote. That will be printed as it is. It can be alphabets, it can be digits, it can be special characters like brackets and multiplication, right? Any such special characters or brackets or anything such that, right? So all of them will be printed, right? There is no issues. There are certain characters that you'll face difficulty in printing. For example, you will not be able to print a double quote inside it. You'll not be able to print a single quote inside it. Inside a single quote, right? You won't be able to print an enter. You won't be able to print a tab, right? So how are we going to print these characters, which we are not allowed to put here, right? I am not allowed to put a double quote over here, right? If I put a double quote, it simply ends the string, right? So you can see this color, the difference is also there. It simply ends the string, and this quote is just outside it, which is error, right? So if I run this, it will give me, and you know what? There is an error. This string is ending over here, and what is this double quote doing? There should be a bracket after it. It is telling unclosed string literal, right? It is just giving me some error. So how can we fix this? So we can use something known as escape sequence. So what does escape sequence do? Escape sequence simply allows you to put those characters which ideally you won't be allowed. So for example, double quote you are not allowed. You can put a double quote now. So now if I run this, it is not an error. It will actually print these two characters as a single character, which is a double quote, right? So you're not seeing that forward slash in the result, but you're seeing that double quote. right? You can print an enter as well, which is slash, and you can print a tab, which is slash t. You can print if you want to print a forward slash. Now the challenge here is the forward slash cannot be printed, right? If you write a single forward slash, this is an error, right? So you cannot include a forward slash anywhere in your string because that will cause error, right? So if you put forward slash in a bracket, something like this, see, it is giving you error. Now, if you want to actually put a forward slash, you need to put 2 forward slashes. Okay. So now it will work fine. Okay. So this thing is known as escape sequence, which is basically characters, which is basically allowing you to insert characters in your string, which ideally you won't be able to. Okay. Okay. So this is it. The next one is data types. So data types are nothing but different types of data that you have in our code. So we have like very, very small data types like byte, short, right? We have large, so which can store very small numbers, very, very small numbers. Then we have a little bit larger ones like integer, which can store small numbers. We have long, which can store large numbers. Yeah? Float and double, which can store decimal, small and large decimal numbers. We have char, which can store characters, right? We have string, which can store text, and we have boolean, right, which can which is a special type, right? So I'll tell you today about boolean. Yesterday we did not cover this. Okay. Next, we understood about variables, right? So variables are nothing but this, like a box. This is like a name of the box that is storing the value, right? So we have data types, we have variables. So now what is the thing that we have done over here? So we can create variables of any data type that we want, and we can store the value of that data type. So for example, we can create a variable of integer type. Okay. Now this variable can store an integer value. It can be a positive value, it can be a negative value as well. Right? It is just range from positive to negative. So it can store an integer positive value, it can store an integer negative value. Can it store a string? Can it store a text? Can it store a character? No, it cannot do that. It can store numbers. Okay. So it will be able to only store numbers. Okay. Okay. There were certain rules that we followed to name these variables, right? If I'll quickly go through them. They don't have to be a keyword, right? There are certain restrictions. You can use only alphabet, digits, and only one special character that you are allowed to use is underscore, right? It should start with either an alphabet or underscore. You cannot start a variable name with a digit. Variable names are case sensitive, right? So a capital variable and a small variable are two different variables, right? So if you declare a variable with small a, you have to always use it with a small a. You cannot change its name to capital A, right? Something like that. There cannot be two variables with the same name within the same scope, right? So what was the scope? Anyone remembers what was the scope? Scope kya tha? What was scope? What did I tell you? Scope. Something yesterday I told you scope kya hota tha? Block. Yes. So what was a block? How do you define a block? A pair of curly brackets, right? Anything that is written between a pair of curly brackets, right? So that is known as a block, or that is known as a scope, right? So that part is known as a block, or that part is known as a scope. Okay. Now we have variables, right, which we can create. We form certain rules to naming these variables. Now using these rules, we'll name our variables always, right? And we can create variables of data types. For example, here we have created a variable of double type, which is storing decimal number. Then we created a variable of string type, which is storing a string. Now strings will always be enclosed within double quotes. Okay, so any string that you write will always be written within double quotes. Any character that you write will always be written in a single quote. Okay, so single quote you can write only one character, whereas inside double quotes you can write multiple characters. Okay, as many characters as you want. There is no restriction on the length as well. If you want to create as long strings as you want, you can create it. Okay. Okay, so this was it about variables and data types. Today we'll revisit this. We'll try to go into a little bit more depth on variables and data types. Then we understood about arithmetic operators. So basically, these are the operators which are used to perform addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, finding out the remainder after division, right? On numbers. So you can create two variables, and what you can do is you can create another variable to store the sum of these two, right? You can create another variable to store the difference of these two. You can print these results variables, right? So what you are basically doing, you are creating a calculator kind of thing, where you are getting taking two variables, creating them, you are finding sum, you are finding difference, and then you are printing them. Okay, makes sense. Okay. See, so we are printing out the sum, we are finding out the difference, and then we are printing it. Clear? Any doubts? No doubts? Okay. So, okay. If no doubts, then let's move to the next part. Yesterday, I gave you some work to do. Like if I asked you to create two variables, perform arithmetic operations on them, like addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, right? Did anyone of you try that? I saw someone asking in the chat. So this was I was referring to as calculator, right? Creating your own version of calculator where you are performing addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, something like that. Yes, worked. Chalo, great. Good work, then it's great. Okay. Chalo, Alex, I'll give you the solution to this one. Okay? Don't worry, I'll come back to this one. Yes. So basically, I asked you to take two variables and then perform this, right? So basically, similar like how we have done over here. Right? So I just asked that, can we do it for? Can we find out the multiplication, right, of them, which is like A into B? Can you find out the quotient of them after division? The quotient is A divided by B. Can we find out the remainder between them? The remainder is A percentage B. That's it. I have to print all of them. System.out.println multiplication. System.out.println quotient. System.out.println remainder. Okay, that's it. So this was the question that I asked you. So take two numbers, perform all these operations and print the result. So now you're seeing the result, right? So the multiplication is 1500. The quotient is 6. The remainder is 10. Okay. Should we type these many system node out? Is there any alternatives? Yes, I'll tell you the alternatives today. What can you do instead of if this is like too much to type, right? So sometimes you need shortcuts. So can we do it by writing a smaller code, or can we do it in less lines of code? There is way, right? So we'll understand that as well. Okay. Okay, so let's go back, right? Let's go a little bit back and let's try to understand data types in a little bit more detail. Okay. So what did we understand about data types is we got some understanding, right? We have variables, we have a data type, and we are storing values. Okay, simple, fine. Now let's try to, so we saw it for integer numbers, right? Integer numbers ke liye humne dekha. We saw it for long numbers as well. So okay, we saw it, right? I guess I gave you one example of long number. So I guess not. Okay, so let me give you one long number example. So let's say I put it as 100. Okay, and I do system.out.println L, and I run this. Okay, so it is printing 100, no problem, right? Achha. Now there is a concept in Java which is known as default data type. Okay, so see how many data types store integer values. कितने data types है जो integer value store करते हैं? There are many, right? So there is integer that stores integer values. There is long that stores integer values. There is byte that stores integer values. There is short that store integer values. There are so many of them. So what if I write a numbers anywhere? Which data type Java will understand it to be? So Java will understand any number to be of integer type. Okay, and it will understand any decimal number, right, to be of double type. Not. यहाँ पे reverse, right? For number it is integer, for decimal number the larger one, which is double. Okay. So Why does it matter to us? What's the difference that it is causing? So let me show you that. So let's say I want to put a really large number into here. Okay, I put a really large number like this. Okay, over here, and then let me copy the same number and I try to put it over here. So let's just try to print A first. Okay, and if you run this, it is telling you one error, that integer number is too large. Right? Obviously, this number is too large and it cannot store it in integer. I'll tell you the exact ranges, exact sizes kya hota hai. Okay, just I'm telling you some idea, right? So it is telling that this is too large and it cannot store this. Okay, so what to do? Let's pick long then. Yes, we should be able to store it in long. This is a large number. Now, if I run this, it will actually give you the same error, integer number too large. Now we are using a long data. Why is it telling integer too large? Now this is happening because of the concept of default data type. Okay, I know this is little bit tricky, so please listen to me for a second and you will be easily able to understand. Okay, so what is happening over here is whenever you write a number, okay, whenever you write a number, it automatically is of integer type until and unless you specify it is a long number. Okay, so how will we specify that it is a long number? We just have to write a L at the end of it. So if I have written a L, this is not one, this is a L, the character L. You can write a capital L as well. Okay, you can write a capital L or a small L at the end of this number. So this will mean that this is a long number. This is not an integer number anymore. Okay, so what I'm telling here is that I'm telling to Java that, you know what, this is not an integer number. This is a long number. Now I am allowed to make this large long numbers. I'm not allowed to make integer number, that I know. So if I specify L at the end of it, Java understand, oh, you are telling that this is a long number, then it's fine, right? A long number can be this large. And if you are putting it in long type, then it's not a problem as well, right? You have a long number, you are putting it in a long data type, no problem. So let's print it. Now it is printing it as it is. It is printing fine. Okay, understood? So by default, every number is integer. Now if you try to create a very large integer, which cannot be, right? So it is going to give you error. Now, how can we resolve this error? So for example, if I want to create a really large number, I just need to specify L at the end of it by telling that this is a long number. You can say Java is a little bit dumb, right? So it actually thinks that, see, even though we have specified long at the start, right? This question I every time get. So why are we specifying it over here? So Java is actually not checking what type of variable you have created. So this is the type that we have specified for the variable. Variable kis type ka hai? Okay. This is the type that we don't know what is this data. Okay. Java is not checking this data with this type. Java is only creating a variable. So isko aise samjho. See, what Java is doing, when you specified long L, so it created a variable of long time, which is a really large variable. Okay. When you specified a int A, it created an integer variable of this size. So integer variable was small, long variable was large. Now, when you wrote a number, right, in the right side, okay, so Java will by default treat it as an integer number until and unless you specify that it is a long number. So Java will automatically treat it as an integer number until and unless you specify that it is a long number. Understood? You can write capital L. Yes, you can name this variable whatever you want. You want to name it as capital L, you can name it. You want to name it as small L, you can name it. Right? That doesn't matter. Okay. Okay. Understood? Clear? Makes sense? So every time while writing long numbers which are really large, you'll have to write a L at the end of it. So I'll explain to you what's the problem. Okay. See. So do you know how do we measure sizes? Size kaise measure karte hain? I know all of you know. Okay. In terms of computers, right, we measure things in terms of megabytes, gigabytes. Heard of this thing? This much MB, this photo is of this much MB, this photo is of this much KB, this video is of this much GB. Right? You've heard of these things, right? So see, what is this megabyte, gigabyte, or all these things, right? What is this? So let me break it down for you. So that will help you understand this data type concept as well. So see, when we, so basically think it in this way. So what is the smallest information that we write in computer? What is the thing that computer understands? Computer only understands 0 and 1. It doesn't understand anything else. So a single 0 and 1, right? We call it as 1 bit of information. Okay? One single 0 and 1 is known as 1 bit of information. If I say 1 bit of information, I mean that it is either a single 0 or a single 1. Okay? A single 0 or a single 1 makes a bit of information. Okay. Okay. Understood this? A single 0 or a single 1 is making 1 bit of information. What's next? Okay. So now if you comprise 8 bits together, it makes up 1 byte of information. Okay. 8 bits put together makes up a byte of information. Now, same 1024 bytes put together makes up a kilobyte of information. Then 1024 kilobytes put together makes up a 1 megabytes of information. 1024 megabytes of put together makes up 1 gigabytes of information. 1024 gigabytes put together makes up 1 terabytes of information. Then 1024 terabytes put together makes up a zettabyte and so on. Okay. Why we use 24? Why is it 24? Because it is in the powers of 2. Okay. So, okay, why is it in powers of 2? I'll explain you this. Asha, tell me. Let's say you have 3 spaces. Okay. 3 places. Either you can, in each of these places, you can put either single 0, single 1, single 0, single 1, single 0, single 1. How many numbers can you create? कितने numbers बना सकते हैं? This was there in school permutation combination. Anyone remembers permutation combination? School में था हम लोगों. You might have studied this in 10th grade. किसी को याद नहीं है? So let's try to make. So you can make 0, 0, 0. You can make 0, 0, 1. You can make 0, 1, 0. 0, 1, 1. 1, 0, 0. 1, 0, 1. 1, 1, 0. 1, 1, 1. How many combinations? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Altogether 8 combinations. Is there any other way to determine this? That is 8. If I give you 10 places instead of this, how many combinations you will be able to make? So you will be able to make around. So for example, if there are 3 places, you are able to make 2 to the power 3. If I give you 10 places, you will be able to make 2 to the power 10 number of combinations. Okay, because at every place what you are doing is you are storing either single 0, single 1. Next place you are storing a single 0, single 1. Next place you are storing a single 0, single 1. So the total number of combination is 2 into 2 into 2 into 2 into so on. Right? So if there are 10 places, you will be able to make 2 to the power 10 combination. If there are 3 places, you will be able to make 2 to the power 3 combinations. Okay, makes sense? Easy. Okay. So if there are 5 bits, how many binary numbers can you make? So you can make 2 to the power 5. If there are 10 spaces, how many binary numbers you will be able to make? 2 to the power 10. Okay, simple. Now, why is it 2 to the power? Why is it 1024? It is nothing but 2 to the power 10. If you try to find out the value of 2 to the power 10, it is nothing but 1024. Okay, so that's why these things are always in multiples of 2. 2 के multiples में होता है 1000 नहीं है और ऐसा 2000, 10,000 something like that नहीं है. Okay, so that's why these are 1024. You'll see everything in programming you'll see is in the orders of 2. Okay, chalo, okay, this is like a very depth discussion. We'll do that in the main batch, right? Much more details. Right now it is not very much required. I don't want you to confuse you and I don't want you to like make programming boring for you. Okay, so we'll understand these technicalities a little bit more, but for now this thing would work, right? So you might have already heard of KB, MB, gigabytes, terabytes. You got to know one little bit information, right? That 1 MB is not 1000 KB, it is actually 1024 KBs. Okay, makes sense? Okay. So now we understood about data types. So now let me put the sizes of each of the data types. So integer is actually 4 bytes. Okay. A long is a 8 bytes data type. Same goes for float. Float is 4 bytes. And double is the double of float, which is 8 bytes. Easy to remember. Int 4 bytes, long 8 bytes, float 4 bytes, double 8 bytes. Simple. char is 2 bytes. Okay. And now can you guess what is the size of string? So string, what did I tell you? Anything that is enclosed within double quotes, you can write as many characters as you want. Now, what is the size of something like string can be? Depends on user input, right? Depend on the numbers, but there should be some way to figure that size out. So each of these thing is, what is this? What did I tell you? Each of this thing that you're putting in string is a character, right? So what is the size of string? So it is nothing but 2 into 2 is the size of character into the number of characters. Okay, easy. So character is 2 bytes. So string is size of character into the number of characters. Size of character is 2 bytes, and the number of characters that the string will have. So that is the size of your string. Simple. Okay. There were two smaller data types, very small, like byte and short. So I gave you that. So byte is 1 byte, right? And short is 2 bytes. So we generally don't use them. Okay. So generally don't use them, but they are used in something like hardware coding, or if you go to code a semiconductor or very small minute level codings. So there we might use a byte or short kind of data type. Otherwise, we are comfortable using integer, long, float. For now, at least you will not require them. Okay. Understood? Easy to remember. Int long 48, float and double 48. Character is 2 bytes. String can be calculated based on the number of characters. Byte is 1 byte, short is 2 bytes. Is it difficult to remember them? Too easy? How many of you are already remember it? Char is 2. Char is 2 in Java. In C++, I guess it is 1 byte. In Java, it is 2 bytes. Okay. Acha. Easy. Already remembered. Chalo, great. See, there is nothing too much to remember. No? These are so easy things that you can easily remember them. Okay. Now, chalo. Why did I tell you these sizes? Now you can relate to this. So tell me, the size of an integer is 4 bytes. The size of a long number is 8 bytes. Will you be able to put a larger thing into a smaller box? Will you be able to put a larger thing into a smaller box? Like a long number into an integer? No, right? You'll not be able to put a larger value into a smaller box. But will you be able to do the reverse? Will you be able to put an integer number into long? Integer is 4 bytes, long is 8 bytes, yes. So you can put it. So when you were putting, right? So when you were trying to put, so now let's come back to this one. Okay, let's say this number is small. Okay. Okay, so let's say these numbers are small. Now if I run this, okay, there is no problem, right? In none of them. I am not able to face any problem in storing integer into integer. I am not facing any problem in storing integer into long. Integer को integer में store करना should not be a problem. Integer to long is not a problem, and integer is also within a small number, so within a range, right? So when I take or tell it as a small number, it is not like 100, 200. It says a large number, but not a very large number, right? But as I try to increase the size, right? Now as I do this, now this is a large integer number, and it cannot be stored in an integer. It cannot be even created inside this 4 bytes element. So it is giving us an error. Okay, this is too large, I cannot create it. Now this is telling us key, okay, this if I comment out this is not a very large long number. It can be stored in a long, so that's fine. Okay, understood? So basically you have to specify a L at the end of the number to specify that this is a long number, and you won't face any issues. Okay, clear? How can we see integer is taking 4 bytes? Actually, this is fixed, right? So this is fixed by Java. So it is always going to take this many bytes. We will not be able to see it, but Java is always going to give us this. Yes, yes, until see. What's your doubt? In line number 88. Yes. So here what we are doing is we have created a large number. Now this large number is, what did I tell you? Default type of a number is integer. This large number cannot be integer. So we specified that, oh, this is not an integer number. This is a long number. I know that there is, this is not getting used in the number, but this long is used for this variable. So if I just do this, right? which type of this, what is the type of this variable. Java will not be able to understand. It will tell us this, that you have never created this variable. It can say, I cannot find this symbol. You never created this variable. What is the data type of this variable, right? That's why we are telling. So this is telling the data type of the variable. It has nothing to do with the value that we are putting. Okay. Later we'll see that value might come from different places as well. We'll not write values here. Values might come from user as well, right? So you write your values in the calculator, right? The program already does not have the value. You tell the values on which you want to perform addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, right? Understood? Okay. Okay. So same thing with float and double. So let's say when you write a double numbers, what is the default type of decimal numbers? So default types of decimal number is double, right? So if you write a large decimal number and you try to store it in double, there is no problem, right? Because the default type is double, it will be able to store it, right? There is no problem that you are seeing it, it's able to easily store it. But when you try to store this same number in float, right? If you try to store the same number in float, and I run this, we'll see an issue that it is a lossy conversion from double to float. Now let's try to understand why Java is telling lossy conversion. What's the problem? So if you try to read this carefully and you try to put these two pieces together, then you will be able to understand why Java is telling this. So see, what Java is saying that this is a double number. Java ko kya dikh raha hai? What is the default type of decimal number? Double. So Java is seeing it as a double number. Now what is happening is we are trying to put a double value into float. What is the size of double? 8. What is the size of float? 4. So what we are doing is we are trying to put a larger thing into a smaller box. So Java is telling, you know what, I will not do this. This is the error. You're trying to put a larger thing into a smaller box, and this is not possible, right? So better you specify F, right? If I specify F and I try to put it. Now, even though it might not be possible, it will do it. And now see, we are losing some data. यहाँ पे कुछ data loss हो गया, right? We are seeing only 6 digits, even though we have specified so many digits. यहाँ पे हमने कितने सारे digits specify करे, but we are seeing only 6 digits. ठीक है, which is this. Yes, up to here, right? Which is up to here, and it is skipping these 3 digits, right? So we are able to do it. If it is a small number, there is not going to be any problem. It is going to store it completely. But if the number is large, right, which it is not able to store, it will store it up to 6 decimal places or something. Okay, depending whatever fits within the float number. Understood? Yes? No? No, no, yes. Yes. Okay. So basically, to summarize this thing, whenever you put a very large number into long, you have to write a L at the end of it to tell Java that this is a long number. Whenever you put a float number inside float, so you have to specify a F at the end of it to tell that it is a float number. Okay, that's it. And everything else remains same. And why is this happening? Because of default data types concept, right? By default, all numbers are integers. By default, all decimal numbers are double. Simple as it is. Okay. If you want, you can always use integers. So the general usage is we always try to use integers and always try to use doubles to avoid this. But yeah, sometimes you will need to store large numbers. You need to use long variables. Sometimes you might need to, you just want to just store it in floats, right? You just don't want double. You want, you know that the number is small decimal number. So you want to store it in float. So you can use floats as well. Okay. Okay. There was one special data type that I mentioned yesterday, which was Boolean, right? Which I did not cover yesterday. So what is a Boolean data type? Okay, so Boolean is basically a special data type. It can just stores only 2 values. The values are fixed that it can store. It is known as true or false. That's it. Okay, so Boolean is a So Boolean is a data type that just stores 2 values, either true or false, nothing else. Okay. Only 2 values store करता है, true या false, right? So either you write this as true as it is everything in small, or you write it as false as it is everything in small, right? It will be able to store it. It won't be able to store anything apart from this. Okay, I'll give you a break in just 2 minutes. Okay, understood Boolean? Now, since it is storing 2 values only, what's the size of Boolean? So what's the size of Boolean? I did not write the size of Boolean over here. You know what's the size of boolean? अच्छा, tell me why is it only storing only two values? Is there any meaning of two values? कुछ हो सकता है? Something that we know that our language is only two things. Java only understands, or computer only understands two things. What's two things? 0 and 1, right? Our language is a binary language. It only understands two things, 0 and 1. So 0 is so false is nothing but 0. 1 true is nothing but 1. Okay. So false is 0, true is 1. So that's why boolean is nothing but one bit of information. So boolean, how much memory does it require? Only one bit. Okay. So if it is stored as 0, it means we have stored a false. If we have stored it as 1, it means that we have stored it true. Okay, that's it. So for storing boolean, we just require exactly one bit of information. That's it. Okay, makes sense? Easy. So we understood a little bit more about data types, right? So we got to know, okay, there is something like default types. So how can we create floats? How can we create longs? How can we create doubles? We'll also do type conversion, but I think we'll stop here on data types, right? Because that's something I'll tell you on the fly. While solving questions, we'll try to understand a little bit more on type conversion. So we convert, since there are multiple, can we store a number into a decimal data type? If yes, how can we do that? Can we store a decimal number into a number data type? If yes, how can we do that? Right. So we'll understand that thing. So we want a break now. Yes, I guess at 9:30 you also have a quiz. So chalo, let me give you 5 minutes break quickly. Come back from the break. There might be quiz, I might not be, I'm not sure of that. Okay, but we will come back from the break. We'll continue from here. We will probably solve a few more questions on here. We'll try to understand a little bit more. Okay, so quickly come back from the break. Go grab some water to drink. If you want to have dinner, you have 5 minutes. Yes. Okay. Hello everyone. Welcome back. Yeah, I guess that timer ended pretty quickly, right? और जल्दी time end हो गया. Yes. चलो, let's continue. Right, let's continue for another 1.5 hours. Let's try to complete this discussion. ठीक है. Okay. Okay, so we understood about the sizes of this. We understood about the concept of default data type, right? We understood that, okay, there is something known as default data type, which is like by default, what is the type of number? By default, what's the type of a double, right? So we understood these things, right? Now, next, what's next, right? So we'll try to, so okay, we understood this part. Then we understood about arithmetic operator. Now, let me tell you one thing about arithmetic operators, that this arithmetic operators works on numbers, right? So we saw that they are working on numbers very fine, right? We saw this result as well, that they are completely working fine on numbers when we put them. Make this a larger screen. So when we put them on numbers, they are working fine. Does it work for anything else? Yes, it does work. So if you put them as long, so long is also a number type. So it would also work for long. So it not only works for integers, but it also works for long, right? Sorry. Yes. So here the result of this also has to be long, right? So all the results that we are storing also needs to be of long type. If I run this, it's fine, right? It's all, since we are doing it on long, all the results are for long type, and that's also fine, right? Can we do it on other data, anything apart from integers, anything apart from long? Yes, we are actually allowed to do it on things like decimal numbers. We can do it on doubles, right? In double, you'll see some change, right? So now look at this one carefully. So this was the result for integer, and this was the exact same result for long, right? Nothing changed when you change the data from integer to long. But now when I change it to double, okay, and let's try to run this. Do you see any difference that is coming right now? Which difference दिख रहा है? So one thing is everything has decimal 0.0, right? But okay, for in addition it is 0.0, for subtraction 0.0, for multiplication you're seeing 0.0. But there is something that is coming in division. So what is happening when you are trying to do division is, and since these numbers are decimals and the result is also capable of storing double number, right, which is a decimal number, right? So what is Java doing is Java is actually calculating the points. Earlier, this result was integer. You were seeing this result as 6, not 6 point something. We were seeing the result as simply 6 and the remainder was 10. The remainder is still 10. When you try to do the remainder, it is going to tell you that this is the remainder that is going to come after decimal. But when you try to do the division, it is actually going to find out that decimals after division. So decimal division can be done if the numbers are actually of decimal type. Okay. So on decimal numbers, if you are trying to perform division, the result will also have decimal points, which is fine. When you are trying to perform the same thing on integers, it's going to be a problem. On integer, it is going to just give you the quotient, not the decimal wala part. Okay, understood? Easy, makes sense? Clear? Yes, I see few doubts. No doubts. Okay. So to summarize this one, so basically let me write it as a note over here. Okay. So please note, division operation will only result in quotient in case, how is it confusing? See, in case of integer division. Okay, when the numbers are integer, what is the result? Result is simply integer, which is the quotient, right? And when the numbers are decimal, when the numbers are of double data type, what is this operation resulting in? Will result in decimal. In case of decimal number division. Understood? So when you have this operator and you try to divide, right, it just gives you the quotient when the numbers are integer. It gives you the quotient as a result when the numbers are integer, when you try to perform an integer division. When this operator is when you try to perform it on decimal number, it gives you a decimal number as result. Okay. Now, in case what if the numbers are float? So in case the numbers are float, the division will still result in decimal. That's why did I write decimal in case of decimal numbers? So it is specifying for both. Decimal numbers are stored in both double and float, right? So in case of both double and float, the result is going to be decimal. In case of integer and long, in both the cases, the result is going to be integer. Understood? Clear? Makes sense? Okay. So if yes, then yeah, let's check. Hmm. Okay. So, understood about integer and decimal division. So, if you ever are in a situation where you want to perform division or addition or subtraction on decimal numbers, right? So, you need to store the result in decimal and you perform them on decimals, right? Specifically, most importantly, division, because if we want decimal result, right? If you want the result like this 6 point something, you will not be able to do this in integers, right? Integer when you apply it will be possible only in case of doubles. Okay. If your numbers are of double type. Achha. Okay, so this is it. Now there is one important thing, one small thing, last thing. Okay. So what did I tell you about this arithmetic operators? That they work only on numbers and decimal numbers, right? They are working on numbers and decimal numbers. Is it true? That's completely true. Apart from only one scenario. So this plus operator also works on strings. Now, why will we need to add two strings? What does string addition make sense? So let's say I created a variable s1 and I named it as, I put it as hello. I created another variable s2 and I put it the string as world. Okay. Now, what is the final result? So I'm telling we are allowed to perform this. So what will this give us as a result? So when you perform addition on two strings, right, it is actually a valid operation and it actually does something known as string concatenation. I know this term is very it looks like what is this thing? What is string concatenation? Okay. But this is nothing but joining two string concatenation. I don't know, programmers are very fancy people, right? They keep complicated names. They've given a name Terminator to a thing like semicolon, right? If you get in an interview, do you know what a Terminator is? Then you might get confused for a second and then you'll realize, oh, this is nothing but this semicolon. Okay. So yes, programmers are a little bit fancy people. They have given very strange, interesting names to very small things. They could have called it string joining or string add, right? Something like that. But they gave it a name of string concatenation. Basically, joining two strings using plus operator. Okay. Clear? Now you would see one difference. One important thing to note over here is if this string join is just joining two strings. It is not adding any space or anything in between. Right? So for example, if you say now if I want space, how can I do that? You just add one space at the end of one of the strings. Right? That's it. Or you can do it in a different way as well. Let's say both the strings don't have any space and you don't want to add the space in between the string. Without changing the string, can we do that? Yes, you can just add a string space, right? So you can add a space in the string. Okay. Understood? So if you are asked to put add a space in between two strings using string concatenation, you can join three strings, right? So this can be used to join two strings. So this can be also used to join three strings. Like plus can be used to add two numbers. It can be used to add three numbers. It can be used to add four numbers, right? So similarly, concatenation can be also used on 2, 3, 4 strings. Okay. Now the major question is, can we perform operations like subtraction, multiplication, division? No, they are not allowed. Those. So what does string subtraction make sense? It does not make any sense. So if you try to run this, it will give you error that this is a bad thing. We cannot perform subtraction between two strings. It is not allowed. Can we perform a multiplication? No, we are not allowed to perform anything on this. Okay. The only thing that is allowed is plus, which just joins these two strings. Okay. Understood? Okay. So plus is one such operator that is used on numbers, and it is also used on strings as well. Clear? Make sense? Okay. So this is clear. Then let's try to move to the next part. We understood string concatenation. We understood this. There is only one operator that can be used on strings. Shall I move? So this was the question that we did, right? So let's move it up a little bit up. Okay. Now I'm just looking at if I missed out something, some small thing over here that you need to know. Okay. So last thing that I want to cover before going to conditionals is type conversion. What is type conversion? So it is basically converting one data type to another. That's it. So we basically convert one data type to another. This is known as type conversion. Okay. Converting of one data type to another. I'll come to user input, right? Today we'll complete user input and this thing. So these are the two things that I want to complete in next 1 hour. Okay. And I guess we'll be easily able to do both of them. Yes. I'll explain user input as well. Okay. So this is a small part. What is type conversion? So converting of one data type to another, right? Now there are there are two ways to do it, right? One we call as implicit, or also known as automatic conversion. Okay. Or these are known as implicit or automatic type conversion. Okay. So this is something which happens automatically, right? Implicit. So let me write it as implicit conversion. It happens automatically. You don't need to do anything. This conversion happens automatically. Can I give an example? Yes. So see. So let's say we create an integer a is storing a value 10. Now if I store this same in a variable in long, so we can put one variable's value into another variable, right? So if I try to do this, it's not going to be a problem. Okay. Why? Why is it not a problem? Again, sizes. Look at the sizes. So integer is 4 bytes, long is 8 bytes. So you are creating a variable which can be at max 4 bytes. Okay. You're going to storing a value in that variable which can be at max 4 bytes. And now you're storing it in 8 byte. Should it be a problem? No. You're storing a smaller thing into a larger box. Not a problem. But what if I try to do the reverse? What if this is not the situation, right? What if I just try to do the reverse? I try to store a long into integer. So let's say I created a long 100L and I've written L and just try to store this. Okay, into A. And I'm trying to print A. Now if I run this, what it should give us? Error. What is the error? Possibly lossy conversion from long to 8. So what does lossy conversion mean? If you read this statement carefully, it will make sense. Lossy conversion, basically we are trying to store a larger value into a smaller box. So this might result in loss of data. So we are putting a larger value into a smaller box, which might result in loss of data. So that's why it is telling it is a possibly lossy conversion. Okay. From a larger, we are trying to store a larger value into a smaller box. So this will possibly be a lossy conversion. Okay. So that's why it is not performing this. Is there any way to perform this? Yes. So the way to perform this type of conversion is known as explicit type conversion. Or what is this? So if it is happening automatically, this happens forcefully. Okay. So how can we convert this? So you can do a forceful conversion by writing something like integer in front of it. So this will just do nothing but forcefully convert any long into integer. Now, if it is resulting in loss of data, then it's none of Java's problem, right? We are doing it forcefully. So now here you'll see it is giving 1,000 because integer can store 1,000. There is no problem. But if this number was actually large enough, and now we perform this, are you seeing a wrong result? Are you seeing some random number which is nowhere related to this? Because this last number, while converting, it was not able to store this. It gave us a different result. Okay, so this scenarios might happen, this kind of thing, while doing a explicit or a forceful conversion. Understood? Okay. Understood conversion. First, you tell me. Basically, storing a data type that we have created, storing a variable of a particular type into some other data type. Is it allowed? Yes, it is allowed. There are two ways. Something that happens automatically when you try to store a smaller one into larger ones. For example, so let me write a simple diagram that will help you understand. So integer is the smallest one. So I'll write just 4 of them: integer, float, long, and double. Okay. Just stick to this. So you can store an integer into long. You can store a integer into float. You can store an integer into double as well. Okay. So you can store an integer to long, integer to float, integer to double. Okay. A long to float or long to double. You can store a float to double. Okay. All of this from left to right is implicit. All of this from right to left is explicit. Okay. Easiest way to remember them: integer, long, float, double. Okay. Left to right is implicit, right to left is explicit. So for example, if you try to store a long into double, okay, so let's create a long L is equals to this much L. Okay. And we try to store it into double, D is equals to L. So this is implicit. You don't need to write any double in front of it and you have to store. If you run this, this is a, sorry. So this is an implicit conversion. See, 1783.0, it is converting it automatically, right? So this is implicit. Even if this was a large number, you would see that this is able to convert it automatically. You don't need to do anything. Okay. It is able to convert it, put it, right? So in decimal, I was showing E9 means multiplied by 10 to the power 9. Okay. Okay. Understood this one? Now, what is explicit conversion? Explicit conversion basically means we are doing a forceful conversion. Now, if you just try to do the reverse, double to long, you will not be able to do it. So let's say this is the number and we try to store it in a long D, it will not be able to. If I run this, it will say that, you know what, this is not allowed. This is possibly lossy conversion from double to long. Can we do it in some other way? Yes. If we try to do it a forceful conversion by using explicit conversion, we'll be able to do it. Okay. But now we are losing the decimal wala part, right? It's not going to happen. Long will suddenly start storing decimal numbers. It is not going to happen. We'll lose the decimal part. Okay. The conversion is possible for chars as well, but that will not touch now. Okay. There is a lot of concepts to understand before I go to char. So probably I'll tell you some that part in the next after few classes, but not right now. Okay. Understood this part? Easy. Did I give a simplest way to remember it? Into long, long to float, float to double. In long to float, long to double, float to double. All of them are implicit. You can simply remember it. Left to right is implicit, and right to left is explicit. Easy to remember. Now, whenever you try to do this and you see a error like possibly lossy conversion, you are basically trying to perform a conversion from right to left, something like in double to long or double to integer or double to float, and you're seeing a possibly lossy conversion. How can you resolve that? By doing a explicit conversion or typecasting instead of doing that. Make sense? Easy? Clear? Okay, so what's next? So this is about conversions. There is like terms that are also used for this. So implicit conversion is also referred as coercion. Like if you ever hear the term coercion, it means nothing but the implicit conversion. If you ever hear the term typecasting, it means nothing but explicit type conversion. Okay. So you get question like, what is typecasting? Typecasting is nothing but converting explicit type conversion of one data type to another forcefully, right? So the things that will not get automatically converted, we convert them forcefully, and this type of conversion is known as explicit type conversion. The conversions that happens implicitly automatically, right? That is known as coercion or implicit type conversion or automatic conversions. Okay. Easy way is to remember this diagram, which is easy. Now, I have one exercise for all of you today. Okay. Try to do one thing, create an integer variable, try to store it in log, try to store it in float, try to store it in double. Uh, uh, Try to do all the possibilities for integer, all the possibilities for long, for float, using implicit and then explicit type conversions. Okay. And then tomorrow tell me what did you learn more about these data types. Will you do this? See, I can give you every single step and I can show you, but the best way to learn this about conversion is by writing this yourself. It is not difficult, super easy to remember, just that you need to do it once. Okay. Will you all do this exercise today? Try to convert one data type to another, explicitly. Okay. Will you try? Okay. Try this out. And then also try to understand this by using this concept, right? So these are the 4 sizes. So you should not be allowed to put a larger one into a smaller box. Check whether you are allowed to put a larger one into a smaller box. And then again, validate whether you are allowed to always put a smaller one into a larger box. You should always be allowed to put a smaller one into a larger box. Okay. So therefore, we discussed this part where we understood basically we can convert a data type into another by using something known as implicit and explicit conversion. Implicit conversion, this conversion happens automatically. Explicit conversion, this conversion happens forcefully. Okay. Clear? So let's move to the next part then, if this is clear. The last part is taking inputs. How much time do we have remaining? Now we have 1 hour. We have 1 hour. I was thinking it is half hour. Okay, so hello, we have a lot of time. Okay, so we'll check this. We'll do a few questions. We'll discuss probably some questions. Just 1 second. Is this portal working? This is not working for me. Okay, I'll validate why is this not working for me. I was planning to do some questions, so we'll do it over here. Taking input. Now, what is taking it? Now, what is taking input, right? Why do we need an input, or why are we taking? What does this mean, taking input, right? Okay. When will the scholarship test start? So scholarship test, please confirm once with the team, right? Please put it on the Discord community, right? Please reach out to Shikha and for that queries. Okay, she will be able to better tell you the dates. I'll try to confirm the dates by tomorrow and tell you. Okay, confirm you the dates. Okay. So what is taking input? See, so we created a calculator kind of thing, right? So where we took 2 variables, right? A is equal to 10. B is equal to 20. Okay. Just give me a second. Sorry. Yes. So we took inputs from the, like we wrote some numbers, right? In either A is equal to 10, B is equal to 20 and something, right? Now, what we want is, we want to find out the sum. So what we did A plus B, and then we printed the result. Now this is fine, but tell me one thing. Does the user, let's say we write software, does the user know code? He doesn't understand Java. He doesn't know anything about coding, right? He doesn't know anything about code. So if I want to create a calculator, will the user be able to know that, okay, these are the two values he wants to change to get this thing to give us the different result? No. User would just want he just puts two values and gets a sum somehow, right? He doesn't need to know where he has to put the values, how is this working, all those things. Okay. So what we want is, we want these two values not to be fixed inside code. We want these two values to be coming from the user. User हमें बताए, right? User should tell us what are the two values on which this addition should work, or what are the two values on which this subtraction should work, right? Or whatever operation we are doing. Okay. What are these two values, right? How the user will tell. Now, from where user will tell? User will tell us from this black screen. Okay. Now, how can the user tell? So for that, we need to do two things. Okay. First thing is, you have to go to this top of this file, and you have to tell that you have to write a line of code known as import java.util.star. Okay. If you are using the AccioJobs portal, right, there is open editor. This line is already present at the top. You don't need to write it. Okay. If you are using other editors like a GDB or some other editor, just check whether this line is present or not. If it is not present, just add this line. Okay. Now, what is this line doing? See. Okay. Now, think on this way. If we are writing code, right? Now, this code can have a lot of places where this code can run. This code can run on an Android. This code can run on a, let's say, browser. It can run on a, let's say, iOS app, right? It can run on different places. Now, the way of giving input can also be different. Input देने का तरीका भी different होगा, right? So we need something which can read this input no matter from wherever it is coming, right? And it tells us that this is the input user is giving, right? So for that, Java has given us some code which we don't require, right? हमें चाहिए नहीं. If we need, so what does import do? So Java has written some code for us. Okay, it is not asking that I've created a language and now you start writing code. Java is also giving us some code. Okay, but it will not give us always. If we ask it, then only it will give. So what does import means? So import means that we are asking Java, what I am telling Java, can you inside your util folder, there are some files, right? I want that files. But there is some code that I want to use. Can you give me those code? So now Java will say, oh, you want this files? Take these files. From all those files, I need one such file. What is that such file? So I need a file known as scanner. Okay. So let scanner sc is equals to new scanner, and inside a bracket I'll put system.in. Okay. Now this is too much, right? Now I'm writing too much things and too many things, and it is too difficult to remember, right? So let me simplify it for you. So I wrote two lines of code. One line I wrote at the start. What did I write? Import java.util.star. What does this mean? I'm telling Java that, you know what, can you give me some code using which I can take input? So it will say, oh, you from where will it give me? It has a folder named as util, inside which it has some code. It will give us that code. Now it gave us a lot of code. From that code, we want something known as scanner. Okay. Now what is this line doing? Chalo. Let's break it down. Have we seen the system word somewhere? कहीं देखा है क्या? कहीं देखा सा लग रहा है system word. Have we seen system somewhere? कहीं तो देखा है. I remember we have seen it. Where was it? We have seen it. कहीं तो देखा है. It's also there. Yeah, it is also highlighting. It is there in this out, right? We were writing system.out.println. What was this system? System was nothing but referring to this black screen. Right, so we are telling inside this black screen, show this result. System.out. System.out, we are telling it, put this result into the black screen. But we are telling now, system.in. Whatever is written on the black screen, give me that input. Okay. So when we were writing system.out, we were telling, put this thing into the black screen, show this result into the black screen. Now we are trying to do the exact reverse. We are telling that whatever is written in the black screen, read that and give me that input. Okay. So earlier we were writing things into the black screen. Now we are reading things from the black screen. Yes, makes sense. So I'll explain you this again. So see, what is this system.in? So earlier when we were writing system.out, what we were doing, we want to print something into the screen. देखो out का मतलब क्या होता था? So what was this system.out? Print something into something, output. Okay. What is this system.in? It is input. Make sense? थोड़ा सा समझ आ रहा है? Easy. System.out, we want to write something into that. System.in, we want to read something from that. Simple. Input from terminal, not terminator, it's terminal. Okay, terminator is a different thing. Terminator is the name of that semicolon thing. Okay, super confusing, I know. So this thing is known as terminal. The semicolon is known as the terminator. Okay. Achha. So you want the input from that. Who will take this input? Who is responsible for taking this input? The scanner. Okay. Input data means input data from yes, system.in means we want to take input from the screen. So ऐसे समझो, देखो हमने system.out लिखा था, उसका मतलब हमें उस ब्लैक स्क्रीन पे कुछ लिखना है, ठीक है, प्रिंट करना है कुछ, हम उसको बता देते हैं हमें क्या प्रिंट करना है, कैसे प्रिंट करना है, प्रिंट करने का लाइन चेंज करना है नहीं करना है, तो हम बता दें system.out. अब हम बोल रहे हैं कि भाई हमें रीड करना है, तो हम कैसे रीड करेंगे? system.in. उसी स्क्रीन से हम रीड करेंगे यूजिंग system.in. कौन रीड करेगा? स्कैनर. ठीक है, scanner will read that and it will give us. ठीक है, so now we have created a SC. Now don't worry, this part, if it is not making any sense now, this will make super sense to you when you learn about class and objects. ठीक है, so you will understand this. I'll not explain the new वाला part now. ठीक है, because this is बहुत technical हो जाएगा. ठीक है, and it might confuse you. You will revisit this. We will revisit this part when we learn about oops and new keyword. ठीक है, so that time I'll explain you this again. Okay, so for now, remember it as that scanner is that magical thing which is helping us to take input from this system.in, which we already know is this black screen. Okay. Yes, I guess you have 2 attempts for the coding mock coding test. I guess you have 2 attempts for that. I guess so. Please confirm this once with your batch manager. Okay. So now see this one. So how can we take this? So we can do sc.nextInt. We can do sc.nextInt. Okay. Now what is nextInt? So what is sc.nextInt? This gives you an integer number that is written on the screen. Now if I run this code, you'll observe a difference. See, now it is not telling us any output. It is waiting for us. It is actually it is not actually ending the code as well. It is waiting for us. For what it is waiting? It is waiting that we will give it 2 numbers. So we can give 1 number, press enter. Okay, this number will go to the variable A. We can give another number, let's say 200, and press enter. You know what is happening? The first number that we gave into the variable A, the second number that we gave into the variable B, and then when it got 2 values, it performed the addition and then it gave us the result. It was actually now waiting for us to give this input, and once we type the input, it performs that operation. Make sense? Easy. Okay. So let me summarize how did we take input from the user. So for that we did 2 things. First thing is this one, import java.util.star. This will be written in most of the compilers, most of the places, but you have to just ensure that this thing is written, right? If not, then you have to write this statement, which will tell Java that give me the thing that we can use, scanner thing that we can use to take input. Now, once we got the scanner thing, I'm telling that, okay, let me create a scanner, let me create a variable of scanner type, right? Let me create a scanner thing, which I can use to take input. So I use this scanner thing to take the input. Okay, what is the meaning of next int? So it is basically telling read the next integer. Okay. If else, I think we'll start that tomorrow. I guess today it was today's class on conditionals. I think it was on data types and variables, right? Yesterday was intro to programming, today was data types variables. Tomorrow we have conditionals, I guess so. If I'm remembering the order correctly, the portal is not working for me. Okay. The portal is not working. It's still not working. I don't know why. What happened? It was working. when I started the class, and then now it's not working. Okay, so if it is on if else, then I'll give you some idea on it, and we can continue from there tomorrow as well. Okay. 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 Understood this scanner? So understood. So basically, you have to remember. See, for now, if it is too difficult, right? बहुत difficult लग रहा है. Just remember these two lines. Okay. ये दो lines याद रख लो. I want to remember one line, which is import java.util.star, and the second line that you have to remember is this one. Scanner SC is equals to new scanner system.in. That's it. You have to just remember these two lines. Okay. Clear? Small note, yes, Soham, say. Now, can we just use it for reading integers, or can we use it for reading another variables? So we have things. So we have next int to read integer. We have next long to read long. We have next double to read double. What will be for next floats? We have next float to read float. Next boolean to read boolean. And next. Okay. Okay. Is these all clear? Next int reading integer, next long for reading longs, next double for reading doubles, next float for reading float, next boolean for reading boolean. Now there are two types that is remaining, string and character. Now how do we read string and how do we read characters? So for character we don't have anything. Okay. For strings we have two things. So next and next line. I'll tell you the difference, or what is the difference between next and next line, and why don't we have anything for character? How do we take character inputs then? Okay, so I'll tell you both. Achha, so let me first show you all of these. So how can we take a long input? So simple, create a long L and just write sc dot next long. Wherever you want to take input, just write that sc dot next long. It is going to take input. It is going to wait whenever that thing runs, right? So there is one golden rule that you should follow for running any code. So see, now it is waiting, right? So if I give it a number, it will work fine. Okay, it took the input and it printed it. So there is one golden rule to run a code, right? So there are actually two rules that you should be following. So let me write it at the top. Two rules to run a code. Okay. So the first rule is always run it line by line. Okay. Always try to run the code line by line. Okay. Never skip any lines, right? So if it is written in line by line, the Java code runs in a line by line fashion, right? So always try to run it line by line. Second thing is never forget rule number 1. Okay. If you do this, you'll never make mistakes in telling how the code is going to run, where is it going to wait, what's the result of the code is going to be if the inputs are this and so. Okay. So here what is going to happen? So if let's say these are the lines that's there. Okay. So let's say these many lines we have written. Okay. So what is going to happen over here? So we have created a variable. Now when I run this, what is going to happen? So first it's going to, this is the line that runs. There is nothing to do. This is a line that it runs and then it say, oh, next int. So for example, it will understand, oh, we want input. So let's wait. User will give the input. If I don't give the input, it will wait here forever. So as soon as I give the input and I press enter, it takes this value, puts it into the variable line. Now it will again wait for us to give us the next input. Okay. So let's say I gave it a next input, let's say 30. Now as soon as I press enter, what you will see is it will find out this sum. It will print the value that is 50, which is the sum. Now it is again waiting us for giving us this long input. Okay. So now let's this time give 290, 80 something. So now it took this long input and it ran the code. Okay. And actually I did not fix so this thing quickly. So let me give it 20, 30, we see 50, and then we give it some large number. Now it is printing that result. Okay. So the code always runs in a line by line fashion, and you have to always run it each line at a time. Okay. And this is something which you have to practice. You have to run your code, you have to see, and this is how you will be able to figure out the mistakes in your code. There is no other way to figure out mistakes in your code. You have to just run it line by line to figure out your mistakes. Okay. So if you want to give text before asking user input, print some text, right? So print something text. So let's say please enter two numbers for sum. You can give a text. Run this. Now what is going to happen? So it is going to print this text. Please enter two numbers for the sum, right? So it will wait. Oh, okay. Let's me give two numbers. It finds the result, and then it is waiting, right? Okay, I give this number and one. For each number, you can print this. You can give this text. Please please enter the number to sum. Please enter one number to find sum. Please enter one number to find sum, and so on. Okay. Yes. Now it will run line by line. Firstly, it will print enter one number for sum. So we'll enter 10. Then again, please enter one more number for sum. So we'll enter 20. That will find out the sum and wait. Now this is the line that is waiting. We'll give 50. Okay. So generally these lines are not required when you run the code online. So because it will not ask you to print these lines. So you can take these inputs like this in the online platform. So it will not ask you for doing this. But yeah, if you're writing it for a user, you can write this to make your code look good, right? So the user understands what he needs to do. Otherwise, if he sees a black screen, how will we able to understand, right? So now thinking in terms of calculator, in calculator, we see just that screen and we are able to understand what we want to do, right? So it is not telling us enter a number or something. We are used to that. But yes, if you want to put something, you can put things and that will also get printed. Okay. And just the rule that you have to remember is always run your code line by line, never skip lines. Okay. So it took long. Similarly, you can take a double input, right? So you can take a double D is equals to next double. Sorry, SC dot next double. And you can do system dot out dot println. And we do T. So what is going to happen if I run this? It's going to wait for us to give a double input. Now this time we can, since it is double, we can give a double input. Okay. Acha. Tell me one thing, what will happen if I try to give a double input? So no one is stopping the user, right? So user can put anything. What will happen if I am expecting a long number, but user gives a decimal number? So what do you think should happen? I'm expecting a long, but no one is stopping the user hands from typing. He can type whatever he wants. So if you hit this, it will give us an error. Okay. So what is an exception? So you'll see not an error, but you'll see an exception. So exception is basically a known error. Okay. So a known error is known as exception. So this is also a kind of error, which means that there is something that we know has happened, which is known as input mismatch exception. What is input mismatch? So this error has happened because we are expecting some different input and the user has given a different input. Okay. So basically error aega, simple. In simplest terms, you can remember it as there would be errors if you try to put a different thing. So for example, user can put a text as well, right? So what will happen if I'm expecting a long number and user puts a text? Like user, no one is stopping user, right? He can type anything. He can type hello. So the same error, input mismatch exception. There is a mismatch of input, what we are expecting and what the user is getting. Clear? Yes, no, yes. So last part on this one. What if I want to check the type of user input? Now, take a type checking is something which you'll not do for now. It will assume user is giving you the correct input. For now, we'll assume that. Later, we'll understand how can we do type checking. There are ways to do it. For now, we'll not do that. We'll assume user is giving the correct input. Okay. On online platforms, like when you run the code, the inputs are generally given correct, right? So the inputs are correct. So you can assume the inputs are correct and your code is working on it. So our goal is to test the code, not the user input. There is one more thing, right? Now, one thing that I did not cover was this, right? Next and next line. So I told you about this, but we don't have any next string function, right? So next string function nahi hai. So how do we take string input? So for string input, we actually have two functions. You can use sc.next, okay, system.out.println s, and you run this. So this will allow you to take a string input. So now using this, you can take a string input. So now it is waiting, and you can type something like hello world. You don't need to put hello something like that. Okay, it will take this string input. Okay, you don't need to put quotes over here or something. it will take this string input. We can also use next line as well to take this input. So if I run this and I type hello, I'll be able to take this input as well. Now, why do we have two functions? Why do we have next and next line to take input? Why can't we have a single function to take this input? Right? Valid question. We can have a single function to take input. Why are we having two functions to take this input? Right? So there is a small difference in both of them. So when you take inputs using next line, right? So you will be able to take input like something having spaces, right? So hello world, I am Ritik. Okay, so you'll be able to take input like this. Hello world, I am Ritik. Okay. So you'll be able to take inputs including spaces. Okay. Now, when you don't put next line and you just put next and you try to run this code, okay, what's going to happen is, and you try to write hello world, I am Ritik. Same thing. Okay. You see that it is only taking hello. So next only takes that part of the string which is before the first space. So anything that is before the first space will be taken as input using next. But using next line, you can take a sentence or something that includes spaces as well. Okay, understood? So next, this allows you to take input anything before the first space. Okay, this allows you to take input including space. Next does not allow space. Yes, it not only just does not allow space, anything that is written after the space will also be not taken as input. Okay. So it's good to use always next line until you are very much sure that the user input that you want is a single word. Right. So if you ever want I just want one word from the user, even if user enters multiple words, I will just pick the first word. Right. If that is the situation, then you can use next. But if you want multiple words, right, then you can use next line. Okay. Make sense? So understood the difference between two functions that is allowing you to take string input. So using next, you can take string input using next line. Next allows you to take anything before the first space. Next line allows you to take everything, right, that the user has entered, including spaces as well. Clear? Doubts? No doubts? Too many doubts? Okay. So the last part, and our life would have been simpler if there would have been a function like next car, but there is no function like next char or next character using which you can take a character input. Now, how do we then take a character input? Character input kaise lete hain? So actually don't have any functions to do it. Char C, there is no functions. So, okay, what is a string? A string is nothing but a combination of characters. Okay. So string is not a character, right? If you try to do this, it is going to fail, right? If you try to do sc.next, right? This is a string. It will give you right away error that this is going to take a string input and I cannot convert this string into character. But if we can do one thing, we can read one character from this string. So we can specify that I want to read the character at 0th index, right? So that basically the first character. The counting in programming starts from 0. Okay, so if I write hello, it will take the first character of hello, which is H. Okay, so I'm basically telling that I want to take a character input from the user. User is giving a string, doesn't matter, user gives a single character or a string or a very string including spaces. I'm just picking the first character from it. Okay, whatever is the first character. Now this first character has an index 0, the second character has an index 1, the third character has an index 2, fourth character has an index 3, fifth character has an index 4. Okay, so the counting starts from 0, not from 1. Okay, that is something that you have to keep in mind, and it is true for all programming languages, not just for taking string input, but in a lot of places. Later you learn about arrays, you learn about array lists, you learn about strings and more. So everything, everywhere, the counting is always followed from 0 to n-1. So if it is like 5, so we call it as 0 to 4. The counting is from 0 to 4. Understood? Clear? Yes. Here. What is going to happen if I put a 2 here and for same input hello? If I try to take input from hello and I just put 2 instead of 0, what is going to happen? It's going to read the character at the index 2. What is that index 2? So let's say HELLO. So this is 0, this is 1, this is 2. So let me keep something like HELPO. Now it is going to take the character at index 2, which is L. Okay. So depending on whichever character. Achha, now tell me one thing, if I have specified 2 and the user gives only 1 character as input, what is going to happen? If I just give H and press enter, what is going to happen? I'm trying to read the third character, but a user is giving only 1 character as input. What's going to happen in this situation? Error. Okay. Error. We are trying to read something that is not present in the string, that is giving us an error. Simple. Makes sense. Such a simple thing. So you should always put it as 0. Even if user enters 1 character, will be not seeing at least error. Error to nahi aayega. Even if user enters 1 character, it is going to be fine. We are going to read that character. If users enter multiple characters, then we'll read 1 character out of them. Okay. Okay. So now understood how can you take user input of any data type. Now you can take user input of any data type. You can take integer, long, double, float, boolean, a string, and the way to take character input is using next, or you can use a next line as well, right? So you can use next or next line. It's not just next. You can use the same thing on next line as well. So if you use this on next line, both of them are going to work fine. Okay. Just that you will be only allowed to read 1 character, right? So next or next line, caret means character at. So it is read as character at or caret. We call it as short form is caret. At what is the index? So index 0. That means the character at index 0, character at index 1, character at index 2, character at index 3. Right? We read it as char at. What is the character at this particular index? At this. Okay. Understood? Clear? Sorry. I don't know what happened. There is shortcut to add a multiple line comment. I don't know how. What is that shortcut? It is not there. Oh, it is shift. Okay, let's control shift slash. Okay. Okay. Now what else is remaining? What is the shortcut for output statement? Just run it. It's F9, I guess. So you just need to run the code. For comments, if you're asking for select, if you want to comment something and you want to uncomment, it is control slash to uncomment multiple lines and control slash to comment multiple lines. Okay, so it is control and then this forward slash. So whatever you will be selecting, that will get uncommented if it is already commented or if it is not. System.out, there is no shortcut. Okay. Now coming back to this one. Hello. I'll cover the small things. So since you brought this up. Now tell me one thing, instead of printing this thing using 5 lines, can you do it using 1 line? Achha. So let me tell you some advanced capabilities of string concatenation. So what did I tell you over here? That string concatenation is used for joining 2 strings. Yes, I told you this, right? String concatenation can be used for joining 2 strings. So if I run this, what is going to happen is it is going to join 2 strings and give us the result, right? If you want to add spaces, you can add spaces as well. Now this concatenation is little bit more powerful, right? So if you want to, if you put a number like, right, this 100, it will also join that number. It is powerful. It recognizes this number. It will be able to join it. If you put a decimal number, it will perform a string concatenation on it. यहाँ पे string concatenation हो जाएगा and it will be able to join that decimal number as it is. Okay. If you put a like integer, decimal, even if you put a boolean value, right, it will actually be able to join this boolean value as well. वो किसी भी डेटा टाइप को ज्वाइन कर सकता है, राइट? सो बेसिकली स्ट्रिंग ऑर्गेनाइजेशन कैन ज्वाइन एनी डेटा टाइप टू इटसेल्फ, ठीक है? बुलियन or character, even a character as well, right? So if you put a character, so that can also be joined to a string. Character, number, or a boolean, right? Or a decimal number, anything can be joined to a string. Now there is some interesting output questions that you get in company interviews, right? Companies ask this question because they are a little bit smart, right? So see, addition always happens from left to right. Okay, left to right hota hai. So what is going to be the output of this one? Tell me. What do you think should be the output of this one? Think and then tell. Is it going to be 1020 hello world, or it is going to be 30 hello world? So if you actually run this, you'll see the output is 30 hello world. So why is it 30? Why not 1020? This is a string. It should be string concatenation. No. What is happening over here is these two are numbers. So Java knows numbers. So Java will add them as numbers since there is no strings that we have already formed. So this two will form the result as 30. So Java will add these two and the result will be 30. Now with this 30, it will add hello. And then with the result, it will add world. Now when it adds these two things, it will finally convert it into 30 hello, which is a string. Now when the next addition happens, that is a string concatenation operation. So that is result in 30 hello world. Right? Understood? Achha. Now what if I want 1020 hello world? Okay. Understood this? No. See. So what is happening over here is Java is recognizing numbers. So addition of number is a normal add operation, right? That is a arithmetic operation. That is not a string concatenation. Wo arithmetic operation hai, right? So that is a normal arithmetic operation. So it is actually adding these two numbers. Because till now there is no string concatenation that has happened. It is just seeing two numbers, so it is adding them. Once these two numbers gets added, right? वो दो number add हो जाते हैं, then it forms 30. And now when 30 is getting added, it is actually getting added with a string. वो 30 एक string से साथ add हो रहा है. So now it will form 30 hello, which is a string. Now the next set of operations is going to be string concatenation. But the first operation was not a string concatenation operation. It was a normal arithmetic operation. Okay. What if now the question is, what if I want 1020 hello world? Can anyone tell me how can we do that? Or thoda sa socho, will be able to get the answer. Just try to sum up everything that we understood about string concatenation. Think a little bit. Need to put quotes. One way is like if you put this thing into strings, you will be able to do it, right? So if you put quotes inside it, so now these two are strings, so there will be string concatenation that will happen. Yes, this is one valid suggestion, which is correct. Can you think anything apart from this? इसके बाहर का कुछ सोच सकते हो? Anything without putting quotes around this? Typecast. So typecasting में string to number and integer is little bit different. It is not going to happen from implicit explicit. Implicit explicit typecasting cannot do it. So there is a simple thing that you can use. You can do string concatenation like this. Or you can join an empty string as well, right? If you don't want space, right? So you can join an empty string like this. So now what is happening is 10 is getting added with a string. So the result is 10 as a string. Now 10 as a string is getting added with 20, which is resulting in 1020. And then finally next to our string, so it is going to perform a string addition. Okay. So the output is going to vary depending on how we have written this addition. Now these 10 and 20 can be two numbers that are coming from variables as well, right? So it would be the exact same thing. If these are two different variables, right? So it is coming from A and this is coming from B. So the behavior is going to be same. Doesn't matter whether you have written those values directly or whether you are using two variables. Okay. If I'm using two variables and have, so now it was 1020. If I remove this quotes and I try to perform this now, it is going to be 30 and hello world. Okay. So this is still going to be performing addition and then hello world. And if you want to perform like concatenation, you just need to add this empty string in between, which will make it a string concatenation operation, not an arithmetic addition. Okay. Understood? How can you change a arithmetic addition to a string concatenation or a string concatenation to arithmetic addition? Clear? Doubts? No doubts? Make sense? Easy? Yes. Clear? Okay. What's next? String concatenation is clear. Number addition is clear. String and number addition, different data types is clear. We understood about type conversion as well. We saw how to take inputs. Now, can you create a calculator, the same thing that we did by taking inputs? Yes. Yes, sure, Sandil. Go ahead if you have any doubts. Yeah, I guess conditionals is tomorrow's, right? I don't think conditional is today. I could have verified it immediately by opening this, but somehow it is not opening for me. So let's try to use some engineering brain if it is not working in this way. The same return statement. So basically, you have created a function where you are basically trying to return something and you have not returned. Okay, so I guess this is okay. So this was orientation class, then we understood introduction to programming, then we saw basics of Java, and today is third class, right? Which is data types and variables. Yes. So conditionals are tomorrow, not today. Yes, so that's what I also said. Okay, we have conditionals, we have conditionals 2 classes, we have loops, and then we have 2 doubt sessions. Okay. Okay, so let me validate if I missed. So we completed a half an hour early today. Okay, I am doubtful. Did I miss something? Okay, so let me write out some things that you need to do to understand things. Okay, if you don't do this, you are going to forget everything today. And this small concept, it will be super difficult to remember later on. Okay, and we'll be using them every time while writing code. So better to get used to this. Okay, so first, let me write out a few things that you need to do. You have your assignments that you need to solve anyways. I'll solve a few questions and show you. First thing is you have to do type conversion of one data type to another. There's something which you have to do, okay, on your own so that you understand how type conversion is working, right? Converting from integer to long to integer, double to integer, right? Implicit or explicit, forceful or automatic conversion, right? Using implicit. Try to do that. The second thing that you have to do is type conversion ho gaya. You converted data types from one type to another. What's next? Now the next thing that you have to do is you have to try to take input and perform operations. Okay, so you have to take inputs and perform operations on those inputs. Okay. Okay, Sendil, you have missed a return statement at the end. So if you have written returns inside your if, there should be a return statement, at least one return statement outside the if. Okay. So you can either return A, B, or C, whatever you want at the end, or you return 0 or something like that. Okay, at the end of all your if conditions. So that will fix it. Okay. Okay. So take input, perform operations like arithmetic addition, decimal number additions, right? Perform addition between an integer and a double. Asha, tell me one thing. What will be the result of performing an addition between an integer and a double? What should be the result? What do you think? Should it be integer? Should it be double? Why do you feel it is integer? Think for a second. So integer is of smaller bucket, 4 bytes. Double is a larger bucket. So double is also the default type. Default type is double as well. If for numbers it is integers, for decimal numbers double. So Java will always do it for the higher end. So which one is the larger data type over here? So the larger data type among these two is double. So the result of these two is going to be double. Okay. So it will always happen for the higher data type. Same goes for if you try to perform a sum between integer and long. So what is the result going to be? That the result is always going to be the higher one. It is going to be long. If you perform between long and long, so it is definitely long. But if you perform between something like float and integer, so let's say float plus integer, what is the result of float plus integer? So both of them are of same size, 4 bytes, 4 bytes. Now what is going to be the result? So it's going to be float. You can think it like float or a double. Take whatever you want, you can store it in that. Take a reason being, again, the reason here is if float can store decimals, right? So you can store that result in float or in double. Better would be to store it in double, but yeah, you can also store this in float as well. Okay. So for number to decimal, the result should always be stored in decimal. Decimal to decimal is always decimal. Number and number is always numbers. Okay. Okay. So now let me show you a few questions. I'll not solve today's one because that's something for you all to solve. I'll go on the day one, right, and try to show you some questions. So there is a question from Welcome to Java. So let's see this. Okay, so there is like functionalities that is hidden now. Once you get the full access of the portal after enrollment, you'll see the different portal that I showed you yesterday, right? You'll see a lot more advanced things where you have editor. Actually, don't have an editor now, right? Actually, don't have an editor right now. You'll get the editor, you'll get the notes, you'll get the gym section, access to the gym section, you'll have live out sessions access. So all those things you'll get, right? So what is this asking? That this is asking that we want to print something in the output screen using println, right? Simple question. We have to print something in the output screen like hello world using this print statement. So what we have to do is we have to type this out. So okay. So this is already written for us, right? So you can do system.out.println hello comma world. So this has to exactly match with this, whatever is asked over here. Okay. If you don't match it exactly, if you miss out the comma or something, it is going to tell you wrong result. You have to exactly match. Even the commas, even the full stop, you have to exactly match with that. Okay. Now once you did this, so you can run your code. So you can run your code whether the code is giving the correct result. Okay. So it is telling this is the result. Were we expecting this as the result? Yes, we were expecting this. Now if I submit, it should be able to take the result. So there is something that went wrong on this program. Let's wait for a couple of seconds. Someone put this chat button over here. Okay, done. Solved. So let's solve a question where we'll take some input or do something, right? So let's go back. Okay, did you all complete this one? The first day questions, easy question, where we did just orientation and we had this question. So let's go to pre-post. Let's go to the second day, basics of Java. Okay, so this one, let's try to pick one question from there. So there is a maximum, who has put this maximum integer question over here? ये तो ये else वाला question है. Okay, so there is a question like this, but this question is of if else, and I don't know why it is put before. गलती से आ गया होगा, I guess यहाँ पे. It should not have been in this class. It should have been in the conditionals wala class. So let's see for data types and variables. So now we have things, right? So here you have today's assignment is yes. Okay, chalo, I got the problem. Okay, so don't worry. Tomorrow we'll understand conditionals. We'll be able to solve it, right? For those of you who know, you can try it out. For those of you who don't, you don't need to worry, right? We'll learn it tomorrow. We'll solve it. Chalo, this is the today's question, right? Today's question, there are 4 questions. So let's try to check, right? So there is a n stars question. So let's open this one. Let's see what is this question asking. No, this is not pattern. This will be a simple. Oh shit. So this is also a wrong question that has been wrongly aligned. So this is a question. Okay, you can skip this one for today. Okay, n stars question you can skip. This is a question from loops. So that is going to be covered in the 5th class. Okay, so you can skip that one today. Apart from that, all the other questions, I guess you will be able to do it. Okay, kuch to ho gaya. There is some mistake in this. There is misalignment. Okay? Otherwise, it's fine. Okay, input output. What is this telling? This is telling that you take an input and then you print it. Will you be able to do it? Did we do it today? Will you be able to take an input and then print it? Yes, simple. So it is asking you to take 3 inputs and you have to print it. Okay. So easy. This one is easy. Taking input, printing it. Star pattern. So let's see this one. So what it is asking, that it is asking you to print a star pattern like this. This is not loop. This is not loop. This is just printing. So you have to print a pattern where the first line is 1 star, the second line is 3 stars, and then the third line is 5 stars. That's it. The first line is 1 star, then 3 stars, then 5 stars. Will you be able to print it? Simple printing using println. Yes. Okay. And the last one is now this one you have to put thoda sa sochna padega, right? You will have to think little bit on this question. Okay. So what you have to do? What you have to think in this one? See, so you're given a temperature that is in Celsius. Okay. The best thing that it is telling is that it is guaranteed that the cell temperature in Celsius is going to be 5. It is a multiple of 5. Now, why does it matter? So if you put a multiple of 5 in this formula, the Fahrenheit is also going to be an integer. Okay. So the result that you're going to get is also going to be an integer. So you don't need to do some conversion, or you are not going to get a decimal or something if this is a multiple of 5. Now you have to just put it correctly and you will get the result. Okay. There is one thing that you have to figure out. Acha, tell me one thing. So which operation will happen first in this? If I write something like this in our code, okay. So what is the result of this going to be? So tell me one thing. If I write 25 into 9 by 5, and this is in brackets, okay, plus 32. So which is going to happen first? 9 by 5 first ho jayega, no? Division, right? So the bracket will happen first. Same board mass wala rule. But what do you want? We want the multiplication to happen first. So what we need to do? 25 into 9. Once this multiplication happens, divided by 5 plus 32. Now, is it going to give us the correct result? 25 into 9, whatever we will get, 225. Now, this will divide by 5, whatever we will get. So, this divided by 5 is something around 49 plus 32. What we will get is 70. 81. Actually, it's 45. So it is 77. Got it? So for me, the solution is already there. For you, the solution will not be there, right? So you will have to write this solution yourself. For you, all the solutions won't be there. For me, the solution is there because this was used by someone. Okay. So try to solve these 4 questions. The one question that is that you won't be able to solve now is n stars. So you can leave this one for now. The n star question, apart from this, the other 3 you will be able to solve them. I gave you 2 questions. The 2 questions are around this. Right. One is to explore type conversion. Try to do this, or try to take input and perform some operations on those numbers that you are taking as input. And I'm sharing you the link that we discussed today. So go through this. See, we are going slowly. For now, you might feel like we have less assignments. We are having a lot of time. But gradually, as we pace up, as we increase your speed, and as you enroll, right, we'll learn more, and then these will be the basics, right? So this I'll not be visiting again. I'll not tell you how to print something. I'll not come up and tell you how to take a character input, right? So you need to understand this. You need to practice it, and then you'll get used. If you have doubts at that point, sir, why can you recall that? Why are we writing caret 0? What was the statement doing? I will recall. I will revise, right? But kuch to context hona chahiye, right? You need to remember some idea. You need to remember something that we did something like this. Okay, should not look completely new. Okay. So I have pasted the link in the chat. You can use this one for going through the today's notes, whatever we learned, right? Whatever we did, try to write that code yourself. Not just see the code. Seeing the code, you will not learn things. You will learn things by writing it yourself. So if I speak French, you will not be able to learn French. You will not be able to speak it. You'll only be able to speak it if I speak French, and then you go and take notes, and then you revise through that notes and you practice it yourself. Right? So the next day you will be able to speak French. Same way. If you don't practice this coding, we just see it, you're going to forget it. Okay. Any other doubts regarding anything that you have? Quiz was, I guess, cancelled today because I did not get any intimation of the quiz, anything as such. I don't see Shika over here. Okay. Any doubts? Anything that you have for me? One dot from I added else if statement in the inside static block and each else if statement have written them by. So Akula, add the return statements of so add the return 0 after the ifs have ended, right? Before the function, right? Before the function ends. So function end होने से पहले, ठीक है? I have not covered the functions वाला part as well, right? ठीक है, चलो. For those who are facing stuck in that question, I'll solve that for everyone. Right now, if I do it now, it might confuse other as well. So that's why I'm not picking up that right now because we have conditionals tomorrow. So I'll anyway does that. One of the questions I got misaligned वो यहाँ आ गया है, but ठीक है, we'll try to do that. I think right now for an active pre-course, it won't be possible to change the questions because it would have been aligned, and now if I change it, it might distort things. So let's keep it. Anyways, we are going to learn it in 2 days, right? So we are going to learn conditionals, and there is only one question of loop, so that we are going to learn. So anyways, we'll be able to print that. Okay, so not a big problem. So I think we can take it. We can just do it on next day. There's the warm-up zone as well, right? So what is this warm-up zone? Let's try to explore it. So here there are some other questions as well. Okay, so there is a warm-up zone, which is a few more questions. Now you can try questions from here, right? So there are questions that are over here that you can try. So chalo, let's try to see. How many years and days is X minute equivalent to? Chalo. So there is one question over here from the warm-up zone. So you have questions apart from the assignments as well. Yes, they would count as questions solved, right? They would count as assignments as well, right? So you would be getting points for these as well. So see, now what is this question telling? Write a Java program to convert minutes into number of years and days. Achha, how do you convert minutes into years and days? So, okay. Now this is a normal arithmetic operation. Okay, now solve these questions, you'll understand a little bit more about what we're doing. So let's say you're given this minutes. How do you convert minute into years or minutes into days? So forget about years or days. How do you convert minute into hours? Minutes divided by 60, you'll get hours. Okay. How do you convert hours into days? So hours divided by 24 is the number of days. Okay. Now you got the number of days, right? So this is the number of days. Let's say whatever number of days you got. Now how do you convert the days into years? How do you convert the days into years? The number of years is days divided by 365. So this is the number of years, assuming all of them are non-leap years. Okay. Okay. So this is the number of years. Now, how will you get the remaining number of days? So for example, here we have to print 6 years and this is the remaining number of days. How will you get the remaining number of days? Can anyone think through? Very simple operation. And we have done that. The remaining days, how will you get the remaining days? So this will give you the total number of days. Let's say you got the total number of days as 1000. So this is going to give you, if you divide 1000 by 365, you are going to get something like 2 something, right? Because 2 is the number of years. What are the remaining number of days after getting these, removing these 2 years? Yes. So that is days percentage 365. So this is going to give you the remaining number of days. Simple. Okay. Try to think through that. I gave you almost the entire, I gave you almost the entire answer. Okay. So try to solve this now. Okay. Almost the entire answer I gave you. It's easy. It's not difficult. Okay. It's super easy. Okay. Then you have body mass index calculator. So you have a height and weight and you have to calculate the BMI. Do you know what a BMI is? No. So for those who go to gym, anyone who goes to gym people talk about BMI. So depending on the height and the weight of a body, there is a body mass index that is calculated. Okay. So generally our body mass index should be something like between 20, 22, 23, something like that, which is like you are not underweight, you're not overweight, you're not too healthy, you're not too, I'll say, too light, right? So you are in a good zone, right? Which should be your healthy body, which is how your healthy body should be, right? So it is calculated by formula, right? What is this formula? Okay. So your body mass index is calculated by is defined as the body mass divided by the square of the body height. Okay, so it is, you just have to divide the body mass by the square of your height. Okay, that's it. Now you are given the body mass and you are given the height. So you have to calculate the body mass index. So this person is body mass index is 61. So he is very much overweight. He needs to join the gym as soon as possible. Okay. This person body mass index is 58. He also is overweight. He also needs to join the gym. Okay. That's it. You have to calculate. Can you do this calculation? Simple, easy. Okay. So see, there are similar questions. Now you can go to each one of these questions, try to solve them. There is normal arithmetic operations. You learn about arithmetic operations. You learn about variables. You learn about taking inputs. Right. So how can you calculate okay, GCD LCM, you can leave this one. Prime factorization, you can leave this one. Ceiling division, Harshad number, triangle. Okay. Acha, there is one more thing that you can check. See, so whenever you open a question, right? So let's say you opened a question. You went to this question. Now inside the question, right? If you go below, right? If you just go below, you'll see some topic tags, right? Okay. Why is this not working? There is no tags on this question. There is no tags on this one. That's why it's not working. So generally the questions have some tags. So for example, if you see a tag like array or something, right? If you see a tag like, let's say nested loops, if you see a tag like loops, you can skip those questions. Okay? If your questions is having such tags, which we have not studied for now. Okay? So these questions don't have any tags. Okay. Okay. You just read through the question. If you feel like this is something which can be done using arithmetic operator or something, we'll do it. There are questions which is going to be there on conditions and loops. So we will understand them and then you can solve all the other warm-up questions. But for now, you can solve this one at least. You can solve these questions. Like if this one you can solve, body mass index calculator you can solve. And let me check on the ceiling division, whether you'll be able to solve this one or not. Yes, you will be able to solve this one as well. So solve at least these three. Okay. So here it is asked that you have to round up an integer after division. Okay, so you have to find out a percentage. Okay, that's it. You are given 2 marks and you have to find out the percentage. You have to round up. Chalo. Now there is now I'll give you a small task. Today, figure out how will you perform a roundup operation in Java. Okay, how can you perform a roundup operation? Okay, so yeah, I'm giving you something to figure out. So as a programmer, you need to learn. You need to find out solutions to problems. Okay, so figure out how to round up a decimal number in Java. If you just type this exact same thing in Google, you'll get the result, but you can use Google. There is a site known as Google. Roundup means basically roundup is, so what this is the, if this is the decimal number, the roundup of this decimal number is 13. So basically you're converting it to a higher decimal number. Okay. So if this is the like 12.34, the roundup is this, this is also going to be 13. So roundup is this. Okay. Roundup is no matter, even if you have 12.01, it is 13.00. Okay, which is round up. Round down is doing it to the smaller one. So for example, round down operation would be, this would be 12. And for this one also, it would be 12. Okay. And there is a round operation. So round is basically if you have something 12.5 or above, it will convert it to 13. And if you have something like 12.5 below 12.5, it will convert it to 12. So this is a round operation. Round up is converting both anything 12 point something to 13. And round down is converting any 12 point something to 12. Okay. So here the question is, I guess, asked you to perform round. Okay. Try to figure that out. If not, then I'll explain you this tomorrow, how to perform round operations. How can you round up? How can you round down? Or how can you perform these operations? If not, okay. But you can take this as a task to figure out. Okay. If you all figure out, I'll be super happy. But okay. So do these 2-3 questions from the warm up. Solve questions on like the portal that you have on assignments. The question that I told you that is not covered, we'll cover them tomorrow, day after tomorrow, like the topics that is there, loops and conditionals. Till then, go through all the things that we have covered and try to practice on the GDB platform. Okay. Any more doubts? Anything else? Clear? Okay, fine. No more doubts. Okay, so I guess we can call it for yes. So, any doubt? Acha, math.seal, math.floor or math.round. That's what you have to figure out, right? Go figure out karna. You have to read the question, what the question is asking, whether it is asking seal, round or floor. If I submitted the wrong answer in the assignment, can I? Yes. You can submit it as many times. There is like, so this is like a practice, right? So that is like a practice. There is not, you don't have to submit the answer in one go. You can practice. That's like for your practice. You can solve it. If it's wrong, then you try to submit it again. If it's wrong, then you submit it again. So there is no number of times that you can do. No, it is not like a KPC law. Okay. You can submit it as many times until you get the correct answer. Okay. Okay. Any more doubts? Anything that I missed out from the chat? I think we covered everything. Thank you, everyone. It was really nice interacting with all of you. Hope you learned something new today. I appreciate the links in the chat. Use that. You will get those links as the notes as well. See you all tomorrow. Bye-bye. Good night. Take care.